All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome into the Rise and Grind Morning Show. It's Monday. Fans and media took Alex Anzalone a little bit too literal. Why we shouldn't depend on social media to get your stories. Mike Kafka, did he stay or did he go? Well, I think you should know by now, Mike Kafka is the Lions' official offensive assistant for 2026. He'll be staying in town. We'll talk about that. Now, does Max Crosby truly make the Detroit Lions a favorite for an offseason move and a trade? Why or why not? Well, we'll finish that one out today, too. And history at pick number 17, why the Lions are in a prime spot to grab a prime player for 2026. All right, prospects and picks. We're going to talk about a few prospects today. And tackles, man. Tim Twentyman talking tackles. We're going to talk tackles, too. We'll be right back here. Let's get it kicked off.
Pressured by Hutchinson. He goes down again.
All right, Eric, good morning, man. It is Monday, and there's just not a whole lot going on, man. Super Bowl's done, and it's like if you're not all in on the draft and free agency, you're kind of lost right now. So, yeah. not a whole lot, man. There's just not much going on for news. There really isn't.
That's all right. There's still a few things to talk about. Free agency is the biggest one. That's coming up the soonest. And then we have the combine that's starting next week, actually. We were just talking about it before on air. Next Thursday is the first day of the combine.
Yeah, it's crazy. And, this week I get to kick it off on the 19th with Daniel Jeremiah. I'll be joining the conference with Daniel Jeremiah as Detroit Football Journal. We'll finally get an opportunity. I mean, I spoke to him last year when we were at the draft. We had an opportunity to get a couple of questions in. He's always been one of my favorite guys in the NFL. He does such a great job covering everything that he covers. And hopefully this year's press conference goes better than last year. Last year's press conference was pretty good. I shared the link to the mods and members yesterday to watch last year's or listen to last year's. So it was about a 2.5 hour press conference, but it's a Zoom call. So we get in there, we ask some questions, we talk about this year's draft, his top 50 and his mocks, and then I guess any questions you really have towards your team. So I'm scraping for a question. So mods and members, submit your question to mailbag@rockdown.com. Whatever the best question is, I'll ask. So it's up to you guys to decide what the question is going to be this year.
And make sure you have a couple, because you never know when someone else is going to ask your same question.
Yeah, last year Dave Burkett was in for Detroit media. I'm not sure who will be in this year. No idea. I assumed he'll be back, but I have no idea who else will be in for Detroit media. But it'd be fun, man. It'd be a good time.
What time of the day is that at?
I think it's at 1:00.
Oh, okay.
I think I have to check my email, but I think it's at 1. Anyway, let's talk about What are we talking about today? Let me get this open. Let's just talk about Alex Anzalone first. So over the weekend, I guess, you had the Valentine's day, weekend, whatever, and Lions media put out like a video that was supposed to be funny, but at the same time, I don't know, they were kind of recapping some of the best passes defensed or breakups, if you will, past breakups this past season, and Alex Anzalone was not in the video, which was kind of odd, right? But it was this. It was the Lions official account posted the Valentine's Day message. And what happened from there?
Well, they posted a Valentine's Day message that leaned into the idea that not all breakups are bad. And that's what it was called. Not all breakups are bad. Featuring past breakup highlights from the 2025 season, including from players who are upcoming free agents. Noticeably absent, though, was Alex Anzalone, despite the fact that he just wrapped up one of the most productive seasons of his tenure in Detroit. And he wrote... someone wrote, "We love you in Detroit, Alex." And that came from a person named Josh P. And he wrote, "Apparently not our social media team. They don't know how to behave." And then he wrote, "I had a career high 9 passes defended, and not one of them made it in this video. And other free agents were on the video too." So that must mean like Amik Robertson or Rocky Sin or Avante Maddox, who are also pending free agents, and I'm guessing they made the video and he didn't.
Oh, I mean, I think he's even referring to some of the... I didn't watch the whole video.
Yeah.
But even referring to some of the guys that just made the team throughout the year that were late additions, whether it was Daniel Thomas or others, right? But
yeah.
But
so
the whole
a bunch
thing
of them made this video and he didn't, so it got under his skin a little bit.
But it didn't, though. It really didn't.
Yeah.
And so I think the skin that it got under is fans and media, man. Fans and media. So they rely on social media way too damn much. And it's just like I responded to him this morning and I said, I kind of laugh because media or fans, they rely on social media for these stories, breaking news, inside information, when the majority of it's just all BS. And so then you get people printing articles about it, right? They start printing articles about it. They get people all upset, pissed off. They think it's a story. Alex doesn't want to be here. Alex is pissed. He's fuming with the Detroit Lions. I mean, you know how they frame stuff. It's clickbait city. And that's Detroit now. It's now clickbait city.
Yeah. The one thing he did put, though, at the end, "I've always had beef with our social media team." So that was his last little thing he put on there. And then I guess he did delete what he put up, but kind of funny.
Did he delete it?
Yeah, that's what I heard. I heard that he deleted it later on because I went to look for it on his and it was gone.
Well, you got to look through his replies.
Yeah.
But anyway, he said that he's always had beef with their social media team because maybe he doesn't get enough airplay. And then, 17 hours ago where he said, "Some of you guys take my ex a little too serious," which people do, man. I think that, how I responded, like what happened to the good old days of media where you'd reach out to a player or an agent and say, "Hey, do you care to comment on this? What's the real nature of this?" But it's a big nothing burger is what it is. Here's what he had said, though. I think you already recapped this a little bit. He said, had a career 9 PDs and not one made it, and other free agents were on the vid too. And that was in response to the Lions. Now, that would have been a repost. Now that I'm looking at this, that would have been a repost. So that's gone. And then he said, apparently not our social media team. They don't know how to behave. I don't know. Oh, the statement was, "We love you in Detroit, Alex," and that's how he responded. Apparently not our social media team. They don't know how to behave. So it is what it is. I mean, if he's trying to stay in Detroit, look, I don't think that this has anything to do with it.
No,
I really don't. It's not gonna lean the direction of Brad Holmes. He could care less about Twitter.
Yeah. Well, he's got a sense of humor. And when you have a sense of humor, you can't be sarcastic. You can't have a sarcastic tone on social media. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to portray your tone of what you're saying. If you're trying to be sarcastic, you're saying one thing, but you mean something totally different. It's hard to relay that through social media. I get it all the time.
Yeah, the people that infer tone through
Mhm.
emails or texts or social media, that one blows my mind probably the most.
Yeah.
How do you infer tone? Or I don't understand it. I'll never understand it.
Yeah.
That's why it's so important to pick up the damn phone. Talk to people. Have a real relationship with people.
Yep.
You know, send a voice note. You know, I've always had to deal with tone issues ever since, you know, I used to box and I had my windpipe crushed when I was very, very young. And ever since then, I've always had tone issues. Well, to make it 10 times worse, I've had my throat cut open twice, you know, in the last 5 years through, you know, severe neck surgery and then removing cancer. So it's like, yeah, your tone tends to get a little impeded upon when your laryngeal nerve is damaged. You know, I had to learn how to talk again, talk right again, which I still have trouble. I still have trouble pronouncing certain words. It just doesn't want to work. You know, some days are better than others, but some days it just does not want to work. I got a weird message over the weekend
Mm-hmm.
in the mailbag, and I'm trying to find it right now. But the message was something like, did El-Kadim Muhammad not play college football and only played football in the pros?
No,
And
you have to play in the college.
I don't know where this came from. I don't know who said it. I mean, I asked, like, where did this come from? Who said it? I don't think I've had a reply yet. Maybe it was on a comment. So again, I'm not sure where this is coming from, but he absolutely played for Miami. Now, he did have some issues at Miami. I think he was pretty much kicked off the team his last year due to suspensions and was in some trouble. I don't remember for what, so I'm not even going to go down that road, but he absolutely put in a couple of seasons at Miami before he entered the draft. So there's that.
Yep.
Not sure. I don't get it. Like, Google's a real thing. You can use it. You can find that stuff out. I don't know why people come to me for that stuff, but I'm glad I got to answer the question. Like, why would I know anything different than anybody else? You know, it's kind of weird.
Yeah. Type his name into the Google machine. It'll tell you where he played.
Absolutely.
Wiki is a great thing.
That is too. What's next on your list?
Well, the Detroit Lions, they officially saw the contracts of defensive tackle DJ Reader and linebacker Alex Anzalone void on Thursday, according to Spotrac, leaving behind $4.9 million in dead cap for the 2026 season. Both veterans are 31 years old and are now set to hit the open market ahead of free agency next month. Despite the voided contracts, Spotrac notes that both players are expected to draw solid interest once teams are able to negotiate. Now, this does not mean that the Lions will not try to sign either one of them. It just means their contracts are done with the Detroit Lions as of now.
And so where does that leave the Lions, you know, from a cap space perspective? Well, it's kind of muddy because last week it was somewhere between -8 and -16, and now it's somewhere between -10 and -20.
Yep.
I don't know when we're going to actually get a real number. It has to happen soon. Real soon, because you got the new league year coming up, but once the new league year happens, everything is going to change. The total cap liabilities, the top 51, the team cap space, your actual cap space, everything will change. But I just want to add, you know, to your point, or I guess reiterate your point. It doesn't mean that these players won't be tendered some sort of an offer. It doesn't mean that the Lions have totally washed their hands and they're done in Detroit. I'm sure that there's going to be people that run with that narrative, but it doesn't mean that they're done. When they're done, they're done. You'll know because free agency will have come and gone. And even then, after the first wave of free agency, the first 72 hours, if they are not signed by anyone, that doesn't mean that they're not going to be signed by the Lions again. The second wave, usually the next 72 hours into the second week. And then the third wave is usually the next 72 hours following, that second week. I mean, it all happens pretty quick. Within 2 weeks of free agency opening, it's done. I mean, after that, you'll have some that'll trickle in. That'll take a little bit of time, but the biggest deals will happen within the first 72 hours, usually the first 24. And then it'll just trickle from there. You'll see some of the smaller deals get done. And then you'll see a couple of the bigger deals get done. Some of the bigger extensions, and that usually don't happen until May, after the draft. You might get a couple that happen right before the draft, and then after the draft, when teams finally figure out who it is that they're going to be working with, then they kind of have to reevaluate what players they want to bring back that maybe haven't signed yet, some of the older veterans that maybe are still unsigned, and bring them back in. So Alex and DJ Reader, I mean, they're at that upper echelon of their career, I guess. That's probably a bad word. 31 years old. I think they're both 31 years old now.
Yep.
They're on their way out. They're probably going to get another deal, and then they might be playing for single contender deals, or they're really not prove it deals at this point, but they're just contender deals that they'll be signing. Not saying that's going to happen this year. I would expect the DJ Reader probably get a couple year deal, and same with Alex Anzalone. He'll probably get a couple year deal at a minimum. I'm not real sure at this point in the stage, at this point in the game, how big of a deal that they're going to garner. DJ Reader is still a $15 million man, no less. Alex Anzalone is probably he's going to hate me for saying this, probably a $5 million is the floor, and $10 million is probably the ceiling. Anywhere in between there. I don't think he's going to get much more than that. I know he would love to get Sherwood type money, but I don't see it. I don't see it. I think that time has come and gone. And I'm not quite sure what he was holding out for last year, because that kind of money was just never going to come. And it's not to say he's not a good player. I think it's his age, man.
Well, yeah, and if we time travel back to training camp when Alex was holding out for more money, the Lions caved and they gave him some more money.
They did exactly what I said they would. You remember that?
Yes, and
just guarantee the rest of it.
The thing about it was, I think that left kind of a bad taste in Brad Holmes' mouth. Instead of just finishing out the contract that you already signed with us, that we were very, very nice to you by giving you this really nice contract. You think that you overplayed your contract and you deserve more money. Well, we're going to show you how much more money you deserve. We're going to draft your replacement, or we're going to bring in a cheaper, younger free agent and have fun playing for the Jets next year. That's kind of how a lot of the Lions fans think. That's kind of how I think right now. I love Alex Anzalone. I liked him from the very beginning. And listen, my friends that I watched the games with, they called him Anal Zone because they didn't care for him. They thought he was horrible when he first got to Detroit because he had to do everything. He was making up for 2 or 3 other linebackers that didn't know what the hell they were doing. He was the only one on the field that had a clue whatsoever and got anything done. And he's the linebacker that helped build this defense to where it got to. But now I think we need to take that next step beyond what Alex Anzalone can do. And we do need someone younger, and we need a fresh start, I believe, at linebacker. Now, if we can get him back cheap, I'm fine, but I don't think I want him to be a starter next year if we do bring him back.
So this is a quick 10-second answer. Free agency, or draft for a linebacker? Which one do you think?
Draft.
Okay, I do too. I think it makes a lot of sense, and I guess to kind of give my perspective on Alex, he was absolutely the leader. He was the scheme architect, if you will. He knew Aaron Glenn and what Aaron Glenn demanded and how that defense was supposed to work, and that's why they brought him in. They brought him in as a veteran. And back then, the deal that he got was not bad. I think he came in on a 1-year deal. Then he signed, I believe, a three-year deal. And it wasn't a bad deal. It's just not a great deal compared to what players are making today because the NFL has added over $60 million to the salary cap number in 2 seasons. So, or maybe that's almost $100 million now in 3 seasons. A lot of money has been added to the cap. Players are getting paid more. I'm kind of with you that I would love to see him on the team, but not as a starter, and I don't think that that's going to work for Alex. I don't think that Alex would just take I'm speaking my 2 cents. I don't think that he would take a contract in Detroit to be a backup. And you know what? Even if you take a contract, doesn't mean you're a backup. You still got to fight for day one. You still have to fight for, to be a starter. And I do fully expect that there's going to be some competition brought in at almost every level, every position this year. And I don't see how the Lions are going to be willing to pay him, a 2-year, $20 million deal when they have bigger fish to fry.
Yeah.
Much bigger fish to fry.
If for some way or some reason the Lions do bring Alex Anzalone back, I don't think that him or Derek Barnes should be handed a starting role. It needs to be earned no matter who is playing linebacker for the Detroit Lions.
And I think that that's the way that the Lions operate. I truly believe that. Calvin Shepard being the linebacker guy and having relationships with these guys far before his time as a defensive coordinator, I think that muddies the water a little bit. And I'm not saying Calvin Shepard's lying to us when he says he's not going to put the best man out there and that you've got to earn it. I wholeheartedly believe that's who he is. But at this point, at this stage in the game, when you've invested significant assets or money, contracts into players, and you're now at a point of no return. That's where the Lions are. They're at a point of no return now. You sunk some chips into Derek Barnes. So unless you're going to trade him, and depending on how much you get back, you better believe that that's going to be enough to change the dynamic of your team, depending on which way you go. Now, there's a lot more linebackers that are much more expensive. They get a lot better real quick, but that doesn't mean that they're going to play that much better than what Derek Barnes has played last season. I don't think that Derek Barnes is the answer either. I really don't. But I do see where it's easier to get worse. And I do also believe that Derek Barnes plays better than what a lot of fans give him credit to. I think our linebacker room overall is good. I think Jack Campbell is great. And I think the other two bring it down to good. So that's a problem. You need one of those guys to elevate beyond and with Jack Campbell. That's all we need is one more linebacker that can play like Jack Campbell does, and we'd be solid. We'd be highly solid. I think that there's some answers in this draft, and now I'm going to throw a curveball.
All right.
Because now tonight I plan on doing. I've been sick over the weekend, in case you all know. I plan on doing Mock Monday tonight. It'll be the first Mock 1.0. I've been doing Mock Monday, Mock My Monday now. This will be the second season. But tonight's Mock Monday, and I wholeheartedly believe there's going to be some surprises in this draft right now. And I'm not saying that this is going to stick. I gotta look something up real quick before I give my curveball. I just got to double check something. The New York Jets. They have pick number 2. And then they have pick number... Where they at? 16? Am I seeing that right? Didn't they trade it to the didn't Indianapolis trade it to the Jets? I need to see the whole board. Hold on. Yes, they do. They have pick 16. They have pick number 2. And if I'm the Jets and I'm looking at pick number 2 and I'm saying, okay, this draft sucks because there's no quarterbacks. I do believe that there's going to be an extra quarterback taken in the first round just because there's going to be a quarterback needy team. But this draft becomes what I consider to be a nightmare in the top 10. This might be the hardest draft to get right at all in the top 5. Where drafts before, you could be fairly locked in on what was going to happen, at least in the top 5 to a certain degree. Especially if there was a lot of quarterbacks. But this season, that's not the case. When you have this many defensive players projected to go in the top 10, that changes a lot of things. And I think with teams that need certain players, you're going to see some wild trades. If I am the Jets, as much as I love Arvell Reese, or as much as I love Bailey, I'm trading out of 2. And I'm trading back because I have a pick at 16. The New York Jets are definitely a trade partner with somebody. It could be the Detroit Lions at number 2. Would you rather? Today's Monday, so I'm going to give you a would you rather. Would you rather move up to number 2 and get your linebacker of the future? Yes, I know number 2 would be crazy to take a linebacker, but I don't think it would be an edge. Maybe it would be. Could be an edge. Would you want to get the next player of the future that is on the defense, for sure, instead of giving up 2-3 first-round picks, at least 2 first-round picks for Max Crosby and $100 million in salary? Would you rather give up those 2 first-round picks to move up to number 2 and grab Arvell Reese or Bailey? What makes more sense?
Well, I'll say this. I am all out on going for Max Crosby. I want someone that you can pair, okay? And what do I mean by that? Brad Holmes likes to pair his draft picks. He got Terrion Arnold, Ennis Rakestraw, 2 corners, so he could bring them up together. He got 2 young wide receivers. He got Amon-Ra and he's got J-Mo. Well, now he's got.
He doesn't pair though.
Well, they're kind of paired, you know.
Now he doesn't pair in the same draft. He tries not to do that. He did it with Terry Arnold.
Doesn't need to be the same draft, but I mean, same position. He doesn't mind drafting the same position again. So I don't think he'd have a problem having 2 edges under contract for the next 5 seasons. That's
no. Okay, I see what you're saying, and yeah, I wouldn't call it pairing. Pairing to me is like you're drafting.
Then you have 2 first-round edge players that were taken in the top 2, both of them taken at number 2.
Mm-hmm.
If you take the edge, who would it be? Reese. Okay, let's say we take him. Let's say we take him at number 2.
Could be Sonny Styles, linebacker.
Yeah, but that, I think, having your contracts line up together is kind of what I'm saying. Pairing them where their contracts run together on cheap rookie contracts. That's the way to do it.
Oh, of course. Yeah, that's
because you're paying all the money for your quarterback right now. He's your guy that you're paying all the money to. So everybody else, if you can have 2 contracts, 2 guys on rookie deals at every position of need, fantastic. Especially if you can control them for 5 years. Then for the next 5 years, you don't have to worry about edge whatsoever.
Let me talk pairing for a moment. So there's a difference for me when you talk about pairing. Brad Holmes came out and said it 2 years ago. that fans wanted Brad Holmes to pair Aiden Hutchinson with another top-tier talent. And he said he absolutely would never do that. And he wouldn't do that through free agency. That's just not his style. He's going to do BPA all day, and that's just the way that he does it. I think that he will do the pairing formula more in free agency, where he does dip into free agency for the needs. I think that that's where his needs analysis lines up with the players that, maybe you have some holes for, and you have some free agents, leaving, and you need to fill those roster holes. In the draft, however, I think what you're calling pairing is more of the roster roulette formula that I speak to, which is when you sign your big name, first round pick, Aiden Hutchinson, to a mega deal, you have to pair that. You have to link that to now a younger, lesser expensive, but top end player that can be just as good as that player. Because if that player gets injured again, like what if this was, 2024 and Aiden goes down with that nasty leg injury, and had you drafted a number, whatever, let's say you drafted number 10 edge, I can't remember 24's draft right now. So whoever the best edge was in 24, you draft that guy. Well, then the impact is less, assuming that player's having a good season. That's what roster roulette does. Roster roulette pairs your previous draft pick with a future draft pick when and if you sign that previous draft pick to a long-term deal, assuming they're working out, because now you've kept players young, you've kept the funnel full, and you potentially have a newer style player that could be better than that guy, which means now you have trade bait with Aiden at some point if you absolutely needed it. Not saying it's going to happen. Could be any player. Just throw any player in that bucket. But I think that's what you mean by pairing, is more of the roster roulette formula, that we talk about a lot, which is making sure that your roster is sustained for the future. I think that's what Brad does through the draft, is he's sustaining the future. Now, where I'm going with this at number 2 with the Jets, I simply mentioned them because they have 2 first-round picks, right? And when you look at no quarterbacks available at 2, they would be stupid to take a quarterback at 2. They would be smart to take, the next massive edge or linebacker or left tackle of the future. That would be super smart. Or if you're even smarter, in from my perspective, you trade the hell out of that pick and you move down. Imagine if you're the Jets now and you just move down to 17 from 2. You still have 16, and you just snag 2 first-round picks to do that. You have 4 first-round picks in the next couple of drafts, plus your own. So that would give them 6 first-round picks over the next 3 drafts. To me, we just talked about roster building the other day, right? With Bill Polian, and how he said you build through the draft. That is how you build a Super Bowl roster. The Seattle Seahawks did it perfectly. They drafted extremely well. They only had 4 free agents on their entire roster that started in the Super Bowl. And one of them was Sam Darnold. They did it exquisitely. And if you are the Jets and you want to compete at a high level, knowing that first round and second round picks, Daniel Jeremiah spoke about this the other day, first round and second round picks are the picks that make out these Super Bowl rosters. Hardly any second round picks were on this year's Super Bowl for whatever reason. But your 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th round draft picks, those are all somewhat of projects. All of them. You're going to get lucky here or there. You're going to find that diamond in the rough. Sometimes you have a deep draft in a certain position. That's going to happen for some teams if they get lucky with some of those later round picks. But when you look at Super Bowl rosters and you look at how they are built, it is mostly comprised of 1st and 2nd round draft picks. And if I'm the Jets, I'm saying I would rather have the edge, and I don't mean that, with any pun here about talking about the edge players, but I would rather have the edge of having 6 first-round draft picks over the next 3 seasons to build my roster. And then from there, I can move up, down, left, right, wherever I want to go. because I have plenty of draft capital to do it. Going back to the Lions, though, Eric, do you think that would make more sense and Brad would even take a wild shot moving all the way up to number 2 and giving away this year's pick 17, next year's pick number 1, and 2028's pick number 1 to do it? Because that's what it's going to cost.
Yeah. I don't see anything wrong with that. Now, Lions fans would finally be like, oh my God,
F them picks.
Brad's doing F them picks. He's pushing all his chips in the middle. This is our year. We're going to the Super Bowl. So it would make fans very happy because Brad would be playing Madden for the first time ever. But yeah, I think it would be very interesting. I'm also interested to hear. So in doing that, let's say we do that.
Mm-hmm.
Are you fixing your O-line, left tackle, and center in free agency then? Or are you waiting until round 2 to draft your left tackle of the future?
All right, let's just move right into prospects, I guess, and we'll talk about who's available at 17. So if you're looking at the way that this draft is lining up right now, I'm just going to go with Daniel Jeremiah's first round mock. Matter of fact, I didn't have this set up, but let me try to get this set up real quickly here. I'm not paying attention to the chat right now. If you see something that people are talking about, by all means, go for it while I'm getting this set up.
Yeah, Brian Brady says, Will and Eric, I watched the Chicago Bears podcast that came up about Max Crosby's price. They are saying in Chicago, 2 seconds is what they are saying it will take.
And they're smoking crack.
Call BS on that one right there, buddy. It's going to take way more than that. Would you trade 2 seconds and a player for Max Crosby?
Yeah, I don't know who's coming up with 2 second-round draft picks, but I'll tell you right now, every insider has already said
it's going to be more.
It's going to be It's going to be more than Micah Parsons. And so if there's any weight to that, which I would believe what they're saying more than anybody else, I mean, it's all speculation, but there ain't no way. There is no way, in my opinion, that they're going to give up Max Crosby for 2 second-round picks in a player.
No.
There is no way. Why is this not working? This is ridiculous. I hate OBS some days. I really do. I'm just going to have to switch and fix it. And this is not even the screen that I really want to be in.
Yeah, I like what Attila says here. If Ragnow, Decker, Kirby, and Branch were all healthy, then you could say F them picks.
I would agree, but I don't think that this changes. I don't think that this changes the opportunity to still fix the rest of the roster. And I'm not, like ready to go all in and break it all down this morning because that would take some significant work. But that's why I said I want to throw a little curveball here. Here's first round. So I have done the work here. Of course, this is not lining up the way I want it to.
And just remember, we talked about it last week. There are teams that are bringing it to the NFL for the NFL owners meetings. They're going to try to make it where you can trade draft picks 5 seasons.
Now that changes the dynamic big time.
Yes.
So I do not have any. Let me try to fix this a little bit more. I don't have any good picks to really go off of, or trades, to go off of. I'd have to do a little bit more research. But just looking at these options here and what's been done in the past, it kind of gives you an idea of what it would be worth. So moving from 17 to 14, that costs 17 and 120. So that's not even close. Let's go from 20 to 10. That was a pick swap, and then a second round pick, and then a third round pick to move from 20 to 10. From 15 to 10 was a pick swap, and then a third and a fifth. This year, this is why it changes. Each one of those years is different. Let me get off this screen. Each one of those years is different from a draft perspective. And what I mean by that is when you have heavy defensive linemen, defensive players that are supposed to go early, hot and heavy, that changes the dynamic of how much these picks are going to cost. Do you remember that when we had the draft 2 years ago where it was nothing but defensive players taken through the first 15 picks?
Oh, yeah.
Do you know how expensive it was for teams to move up that year? That was one of the most expensive drafts ever for teams wanting to move up. And that is because those premium positions that were available that were non-quarterbacks, that totally changed everything. And I'm sorry, there was no defensive players taken through the first 15 picks. That totally changed everything. It's going to be the same this year. If you want to move up, it's going to cost. And it's going to cost a lot. And that's why I floated both ideas. Number one, do you move back off of 17 and try to stack a couple of extra picks, especially another day 2 pick that you don't have in round 3 or even around 2, and move back off of 17 if the board is moving in the way that you want it? Or in this case, do the Lions just say, screw it? You know what? They want Max Crosby. We're not doing Max Crosby. We're going to go get out. We're going to go get the next edge of the future, and we're going to trade up to number 2, and we're still going to give away those first round picks. And I don't think that they give a player up at all. I don't think that makes any sense at all to give up a player to move up, period. And maybe for Max Crosby it does, but not to move up in this draft. This is purely pick driven, so the Lions wouldn't have to give up anybody to go move up to number 2. I think that if they wanted to move up to number 2 with New York, it will cost them a pick swap, another first round pick, and probably a second round pick is what I'm thinking right now. And that I would do in a heartbeat. Now, would that be 2027's first and a second? It's a little rich for me. But if that means you're getting a guy like Arvell Reese, great. But here's the problem, Eric. Here's the problem. There was 2 draft picks that were taken in 2022's draft. Remember who they were in the first round? They went 1 and 2.
You had Kayvon Thibodeau and
Aiden Hutchinson.
Okay.
Kayvon Thibodeau's had a decent career.
Yeah.
Oh, he has. He's absolutely had a decent career.
Yeah.
Was it worth the number 1 pick?
No.
Hindsight 2020 tells you no. But that's the dilemma you have when you move up to take a shot on anybody. You don't know. These are unproven players at the next level. If you moved up, or I don't remember who traded for James Pierce, but how's that pick working out?
Yeah, Atlanta. And Atlanta took 2 edge rushers in the first round last year with their 2 first round picks. And everybody was saying, what a great player.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It was Walker. It was Walker, not Thibodeau. Yes, it was Walker. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's in same scenario there. He's had a decent career. Has it been to the likes of what people wanted? No. I do believe that the Lions could move up, and I believe that there's other opportunities in here. If you look at the next opportunity, which I believe is the Cleveland Browns, at pick number 6, it's not going to cost you as much to move up to number 6. The Browns have 2 picks in the first round, 6 and 24. Those are teams that I'm looking at for the Lions to trade with this year. Who else has 2 first round picks? I don't think there's anyone else in this draft this year. That might be it. That might be. Oh no, L.A. The Rams.
Yeah, the Rams.
So they have 13 and 29. The Rams are absolutely another team. However, the Rams also know, by the way, Matthew Stafford's coming back this year. The Rams also know that they have to go through the Lions and vice versa to go to the Super Bowl. I don't think that they're going to be trading with the Lions. I don't see it happening. If they value the fact that they don't want that team to get any better, they're not going to trade with the Lions. Otherwise, moving from 13 to 17 is not that bad.
Yeah, I did see a report that the Rams are thinking about taking a quarterback to develop.
God, that can't be in the first round.
With their second first round pick, so they control him for 5 years.
That would be ridiculous.
Some kid from Alabama they were projecting.
I don't know, man. I think then if that's your choice, if that's what you really want to do,
Well, they have to think of the future. Matt Stafford's got 1, maybe 2 years left.
I would say 1. I think he wants to go back and run it back one more time. But there's just no quarterbacks in this draft that make a ton of sense in the first round. I get having 5 years of control and doing it at pick 29 probably isn't that bad of an idea. But then again, if I'm the Rams, then I'm thinking, okay, let's trade off at 13. Let's move back to 17 and add some more picks for the future. Why? Because next year's draft, I'm going to have to grab another quarterback probably. Might as well have that extra first round pick or extra second round pick or whatever it is. And if I go back and look at what it cost, to move from 17 to 13 over the last couple of years, I have an example from 17 to 14. It was a pick swap and a 4th round pick. And I don't think that that's going to do it for LA this year. I think that LA would want nothing less than a second or a third, quite simply because it's the Lions. Mm-hmm. From 16 to 11 was a pick swap and a 3rd and a 4th. And I think that that's more likely the case. Who else do I have in here? 15 to 10 was a pick swap, a 3rd and a 5th. So I think for the Lions to move up to number 13 or number 12, it's going to cost them a pick swap and a 3rd at a minimum. And since they don't have this year's 3rd, that's next year's 3rd. So that means they'll have to give up one of their probably 5th round picks this year to make it work.
Yeah. If you remember 2 years ago when we went to the combine, it was not predicted that 5 quarterbacks were going to go in the first round. And it ended up being 5 of them in the first round 2 years ago. And JJ McCarthy was a first round pick and probably shouldn't have been a first round pick.
I told everyone he shouldn't have been.
Yeah. And Michael Penix probably shouldn't have been a first round pick. So teams, I am going to be amazed. I'm going to say this right now. There are going to be at least 3 first round quarterbacks taken this year. Yeah, just because teams need them, not because they deserve to be in the first round.
I'm still sticking with 2 right now until I get closer. Until I get closer to the draft. But yeah, if you go back to 2020, it was 23, right? You were talking about? Or 24?
24 would have been with JJ McCarthy and Michael Penix and
Caleb Williams.
Yep.
So you had Caleb Williams, you had Jaden Daniels, you had Drake May, Michael Penix, JJ McCarthy.
But Bo no one knew that Drake May was going to turn out to be what he was either.
Probably not. But he had the body type, though. I mean, he had all of the intangibles. He had everything going for him. I think he deserved to be up there at number 3. Absolutely deserved to be up there. The fact that he already made a Super Bowl in his 2nd season is crazy. It's absolutely crazy. All right, so who's at pick 17 then? I guess when we talk about who can the Lions potentially get at 17, let's talk about that next. We're going to take a brief break here, and then we'll be right back with who the Lions picking at 17 potentially here in this year's draft.
Throwing middle, caught inside the 5. Jameer Gibbs to the end zone. Touchdown, Detroit Lions. 14 yards on the strike. Goff to Gibbs. You can't cover that man one-on-one. You just can't do it.
Nice job.
Jared takes the snap, back looking, throwing middle. Got Amon-Ra inside the 2, to the 1, to the end zone. Touchdown, Detroit Lions. Amon-Ra, St. Brown. Amon-Ra, St. Brown.
Nice job.
Mariota's got it back. Pressure comes. He's hit. Slips out of it. Rolling to his right. Now he's going down. Brian Branch got him. Sack for the Lions.
All right, pick 17, the Detroit Lions. Who are they going to take?
Wants to throw it. Going to get hit. Going to get sacked.
All right. That was kind of a rough Pick 17 has been a pretty solid spot.
Yeah.
When you think about it, I mean, there's been some pretty impressive players over the last several drafts. I mean, 5-6 drafts in a row, even longer. Let's go all the way back to, let's just start last year. Pick 17 was none other than Shamar Stewart. Now, Shamar Stewart came out of Texas A&M. He was the player that everyone held over Nick Scorton. And I think that Shamar Stewart's trajectory in the NFL is still that of a Myles Garrett. I really do. His body size, his body type, his movement skills, I still see his trajectory much brighter than what his first year produced. Was not a great season. He only was out there 280 snaps this year. 280 snaps, not what he wanted to be out there for, I'm sure. Did not have good grades. Had 7 total tackles, 1 sack. So if you flush that out over an entire season of snaps, he probably would have had 4 or 5 sacks, maybe 6, which would have been a good first year. It's not Myles Garrett's numbers for sure. But this is a young, raw player that has some development, and I think his year 3 is going to be the Shamar Stewart that we expect. Maybe he has a bigger sophomore year. It's quite possible. But if you were to tell me right now that the Lions would have ended up with somebody like Shamar Stewart, and the next 3 picks after that were Gray Zabel, Emeka Ibuka, and Jade Barron, I don't know how I would have felt about that. You know who they said was a better pick?
Yeah, that one's crazy.
James Pierce. Yeah. They said that James Pierce was a better pick. That was Tim 20, you might want to fix that, buddy. But he came off the board at 26. He led all rookies with 10.5 sacks. Great football player. Just stupid in the head. And he doesn't have it from the neck up. Huge mistake. Threw his entire career away. He's probably going to be in prison for a long time. Long time. I don't know how he gets out of that one. I just don't see it. But anyway, Shamar Stewart, what would you have said?
Yeah. He's still kind of unknown, unproven because he got hurt. He only played in, 8 games with 5 starts. So 1 sack, 2 tackles for loss, 4 quarterback hits, and 1 pass defended. That's not too bad. That's a start. And let's see what he does in the next year or 2. So kind of a slow start to these picks with the first one at 17, but it heats up after this one.
Well, who was next?
So in 2024, edge Dallas Turner from Alabama was taken by Minnesota. And I remember sitting in Ford Field watching the first round of the draft at the draft party in Detroit. And I'm sitting next to Will, and they announced Dallas Turner's name, and his face just drops. He's like, oh, crap. Did not like that, him going to Alabama. We really wanted him to go to Detroit.
Dallas Turner was one of my highest rated edge that year.
Yep.
I could probably go back and find my draft work on that one. But Dallas Turner, I remember I had Chef on at that point. And I was having him kind of change his mind on who he felt was the best edge that season. And rightfully so. I mean, Dallas Turner turned out a wonderful season, man. Overall, 70, I mean, again, take PFF with a grain of salt, but 66 overall grade, 70.2 in the pass rush, 66.9 against the run, 35 total tackles, 9 sacks, 16 assisted tackles, and 4 forced fumbles. To me, that rivals Aiden Hutchinson all day.
Yeah.
All day. That rivals what Aiden Hutchinson did this last season. And Dallas Turner's only in his second year. Now, when we played Minnesota and we were getting to see Dallas Turner this year, I was like, you got to be kidding me. Like, this dude is legit. He was wrecking us. He was wrecking us this season.
Yeah, both games we played against him this year, I was wishing he was on our team.
Yeah. Next 3 picks after him, Amarius Mims, Jared Verse, and tackle Troy Fontenot. So 2 tackles and another edge went after Dallas Turner. So that should make you feel good that there's plenty of opportunity at pick 17. But each draft is different. And this year, we don't have all the quarterbacks to push those players down. So what are the Lions going to do? I'm not trying to say that these players are going to be there. I think a lot of them won't be because we don't have the quarterbacks, like I just said.
Yeah.
But
that may change. We haven't had the combine yet, and the combine changes a lot of teams' minds.
It does, but I don't think this year it's going to change on quarterbacks. Even if you have 3, I don't think that you have 3 in the top 17. I think that you have 2 that could potentially go in the top 17, and then you might have, like you think, is 1, maybe towards the end of the first round. And wow. Honestly, you might only have 1 in the beginning and 2 after 17.
Watch them go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
That would be a travesty because there's some players in this draft that don't deserve to be there. Honestly,
yeah.
This is just a shit year because no one decided to come out and go into the draft. I mean, Arch Manning, I think he's a sophomore anyway, going into his junior year, if I'm not mistaken. But he'll be out next year.
Chambliss, he got a 6th year of eligibility because he had a baby. So
it's crazy.
Yeah, I don't know how that works, but a state judge has upheld his decision. So the NCAA turned him down for a 6th year of eligibility, and a judge overruled it.
Is that for this year?
Yep, for Chambliss.
So he's going back to the college?
Yep, so he's going back to school. He's going to go back and play again.
That's your guy.
I know. That's the guy I wanted the Lions to pick up in the 4th or 5th round to be our backup of the future.
Well, you already got that one wrong.
Yeah.
It's early.
But the Lions are going to need a backup quarterback because Kyle Allen is not under contract this year.
I hope they bring in Willis. That's the guy that I want.
Yep, but he's still under contract for the Colts, and you're going to have to do some kind of a trade. You're going to have to give them something to get him.
Oh, I'm sorry, not Willis.
You mean Levis?
No, I definitely don't want
Will Levis from the Colts?
No, I definitely don't want Levis.
Oh, I thought that's who you were talking about.
No, not Malik Willis either. Why is my brain running rampant this morning?
I thought you wanted the guy from the Texans.
Yes, that's who it is.
Davis.
There we go.
Yeah,
Davis they're all ending in is. Davis Mills. That's who I wanted. Hey, there's still an opportunity. We'll see what happens there. All right, so 2023 at pick 17, Christian Gonzalez, and I think that we just watched how impressive he was in this year's Super Bowl, man. Like that guy.
He almost could have been the MVP for the losing team in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
He was better than anyone in the Seahawks. I'm sorry.
I don't think so. But he was really good.
He was shut down in this. Dude, no one had a pass against him in the Super Bowl.
He was really good, but I'd still put Devon Witherspoon up there all day. Overall grade, 65.8, 68 in coverage, 56 against pass rush grade, and 49 against the run. He's not great against the run, but what he doesn't do is he does not allow quarterbacks to get away with much. Now, he did allow 35 receptions this year, and what's most impressive about Christian Gonzalez is his passer rating allowed, 64.4. 7 pass breakups on 35 catches, only 1 missed tackle all season. Dude is flat out impressive. He is going to break the bank this next year after he gets an extension in 2027. He's going to break the bank. And that's going to be a tough one for the Patriots. Where are they going to be sitting with cap, by the time they get there? Because they just spent a ton of money. But he played only 4 games as a rookie. And a lot of people were like, they made a huge mistake. 4 games as a first-round pick? Look, it happens. So when Terrion Arnold has not played much, just remember, Christian Gonzalez didn't either. Right? He didn't play but 4 games, and now has started 30 ever since over the last 2 seasons. He was already an All-Pro in 24, Pro Bowl in 25, and he's allowed a combined 77.3 passer rating against, 56.9 completion percentage during his career. So the next 3 picks after that, the Lions took linebacker Jack Campbell at number 18. Then he had defensive tackle Kalijah Cansey, and then wide receiver Jackson Smith-Njigba that went to Seattle.
All 3 good ones.
Yeah, well, I mean, Kalijah Cansey's been okay. He hasn't been great.
There's a lot of people clamoring for him in Detroit, though.
Well, they were, during the draft.
Yep.
And I'm like, nope, just don't. And you know why, Eric? Because they kept mentioning his name alongside one of the best to ever do it, Aaron Donald.
Yeah.
And they kept saying, look, he was 6'1" or 6 foot, 290 pounds. Aaron Donald can do it. Kalijah Cansey can do it. No, doesn't work that way. Kalijah Cansey's not good. He has not been good. I think he had a total of 8 pressures in 2025. Below 50 grades in 25. Below 50. 1 tackle. The entire season, only 97 snaps played. Not the guy I wanted.
Yeah.
Not the guy I wanted. So, Christian Gonzalez, Dallas Turner, and who's the other guy? Missing one. Christian Gonzalez, Dallas Turner, Shamar Stewart. So not bad picks at 17. Who's next?
All right. And coming up next, we have guard Zion Johnson. And this guy did not have the best 2025. He played 1,071 snaps, had 4 penalties and 3 sacks. Well, if you look at his PFF grades, they are pretty bad. They're below
atrocious.
average. So he was a 57 overall with a 53 run blocking and a 60 pass blocking grade. Not very good at all. It was his worst season out of all 4 of his seasons so far. And he's the first one that I'm going to say is not been all that great. That offensive line for the LA Chargers has not been very good as of late. This says Johnson started 65 of 66 games he's played the last 4 seasons, playing more than 1,000 snaps in each season. Now, the following 3 picks after him were Treylon Burks. He didn't do anything. Tackle Trevor Penning from New Orleans and quarterback Kenny Pickett. So I don't think any of those 3 picks have been anything special. And then possible better pick, the Chargers were looking for O-line help, but passed on both Tyler Smith from Dallas at number 24 and Tyler Linderbaum from Baltimore at 25, who have become premier players in this league at their position. So they could have had Tyler Linderbaum instead of guard Zion Johnson in that draft.
And you know what's nuts is that Tyler Linderbaum was a guard.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I know he was a defensive tackle in his early years, and then he switched to center. But I thought he played a little bit of guard too, if I can't remember. I'm sorry if I can remember correctly. I mean, either way, you could have converted him to a guard. But Tyler Linderbaum, I mean, what an amazing miss over Zion Johnson. And I'm not sure who their center was, the Chargers center back then in 2022. But man, impressive. Kenny Pickett, what a big miss that was too. So again, after pick 17. It's kind of a tale of 2 different stories here. You've got some players that are still extremely good, like in 2023. I think you would have wanted at least 2 out of 3 of those players. Kalijah Cansey was a big failure. And then in 2022, I mean, Linderbaum was a huge miss if you didn't take him at 17. But Tyler Smith for Dallas, and I'm not so sure that he's been good. Not so sure that he's been good. And then this next one in 2021, another tackle, Alex Leatherwood from Alabama, 6'5", 315 pounds. Let's see what he's done so far this year. Nothing. No grades. Not even playing. Hasn't played since 2023. 2022? 2022. Has not played since 2022. What happened? He started out, he made 17 starts as a guard as a rookie in 2021, after struggling at tackle early on. He was then cut by Vegas before the 2022 season. One season as a first-round pick, and he's gone. He played 4 games with Chicago in 2022 and hasn't played since. The next 3 picks were Jalen Phillips, Jamin Davis, and Kadarius Toney. Jalen Phillips would have been a decent pick, but Alex Leatherwood is washed out of the league. So it can happen. So for those of you that say, well, I just heard it. I think it was at, 5 this morning. I heard that Brad Holmes epically missed on Hendon Hooker and Broderick Martin. Like, are we still talking about that shit? This is a miss. A first round complete washout. That's a miss. A third rounder that are all projects is not a miss. It didn't work out. You can call it a miss, but that is not an epic miss of any proportion. It's gonna happen, especially when you build a roster that fast that's that good in Detroit. All right, so who's next in 2020?
Well, wide receiver CeeDee Lamb, and we all know he's been pretty darn good. Lamb caught 74 passes in his first season with 5 touchdowns in 16 games. The 5 years since, he's recorded 1,000 yards receiving in each season, with 4 Pro Bowls and 3 All-Pro selections. I think that's about all you need to say. Now, this past year, he had kind of a down year. He had grades in the 70s, the upper 70s, but he had 114 targets, 75 receptions, 1,077 receiving yards. So right around just over the 1,000-yard mark. And he only had 3 receiving touchdowns. Now, I think that had a little bit to do with George Pickens, and CeeDee Lamb was hurt for a few games. So it hurt his touchdown ability this year. And the Cowboys were only 7-9-1 or 7-8-1. So not the best team in the world this year. But the 3 picks after him, tackle Austin Jackson, cornerback Damon Arnett, and linebacker Kalavon Chason. So the possible better pick, Justin Jefferson went 5 picks later to Minnesota at number 22, and some consider him the best receiver currently in the game. But Lamb has been great for Dallas, and the Cowboys have had one of the best offenses in the league since Lamb joined the team. I don't know about that, but they've had some pretty decent teams. They put together a bunch of 12-5 seasons with CeeDee Lamb.
All right, I'll just finish out the next few here because I think only 1 or 2 of them are actually decent. So all the way back to 2019, just appeared in the Super Bowl, Dexter Lawrence. Pick number 17, has totaled 30.5 career sacks over a 7-year career. The next picks after him, center Garrett Bradbury was a good pick. Defensive tackle Jeffrey Simmons was a good pick. Tight end Noah Fant, yeah, probably not a good pick. Possible better pick though, Simmons, who was taken 2 picks after Lawrence, has only recorded 12.5 sacks. 12.5 more sacks, over the last 3 seasons. Coming off an 11 sack performance this season with 17 tackles for loss, earned his first All-Pro. So what this tells us is that I pick 17, I pick 18, I pick 19, or pick 20. The potential to still get a very valuable pick, someone that can start and play at a high level at all different positions, exist. The next one after that was safety Derwin James. I don't even need to go into his career. He's had an amazing career.
Yeah.
And then in 2017, Jonathan Allen, another amazing pick at pick 17. Then at picks in 2016, safety Keanu Neal. He's already washed out of the league. He hasn't played since 2023. So to recap, the better pick after 2017 was TJ Watt. Oh, that's crazy. They picked TJ Watt after Jonathan Allen. Cornerback, Adoree Jackson. Tight end, O.J. Howard. Offensive tackle, Garrett Bowles. 2018.
One.
Jair Alexander. Leighton Vander Esch. Frank Ragnow in 2018 was picked after pick number 17. 2019. Oh, I'm sorry. 2020. You already went over that one. So let's just do a full recap here. At pick 17, you could have had Jonathan Allen, Derwin James, Dexter Lawrence, C.D. Lamb, Christian Gonzalez, Dallas Turner, or Shamar Stewart. And about 80% of these players picked at 17 have become extremely good football players. So Brad really can't miss if the players are there. Are the players going to be there? The answer is yes. In this year's draft, there's at least 20 players that I believe deserve to be taken in the top 17. At least.
Did you notice the two offensive linemen that were taken at 17, though? Both didn't end up being so hot.
Let's go back to that. Leatherwood was not great.
Yep, he's gone.
Leatherwood was not great. But you have to look at the players that were taken after that.
Yeah, and Zion Johnson.
Yeah, so look at the players that were taken after that. Frank Ragnow. I think we all know how that worked out.
Yeah.
Garrett Bradbury. I think we all know how that one worked out.
Mm-hmm.
Tyler Linderbaum.
Yep. So they're there. You just got to get the pick right.
You just have to get the pick right. And I think in this draft, it's going to be a little bit easier to get the pick right. Gray Zabel, who even though he's not, I mean, he had a great season. Let's not discredit what his season was. He still hasn't played his best football. That was Trace's favorite player coming out of that draft. I think she wanted the Lions to get Gray Zabel.
Mm-hmm.
His numbers are not great, but what he's done has been pretty damn good. 5 penalties, only 2 sacks allowed here in this season, winning a Super Bowl with the Seattle Seahawks. So the picks are there. The question is, who's going to be there? Who are the Lions going to be able to take? Well, according to Daniel Jeremiah, in his first round mock draft that came out, I don't know, about a week or so ago, the Lions at pick 17 would have these opportunities. Emmanuel McNeil-Warren, wide receiver Jordan Tyson, edge Keldrick Falk, wide receiver Denzel Boston, who I believe might be the best receiver in this class, defensive tackle Lee Hunter, cornerback Avion Terrell, offensive tackle Kaden Proctor, safety Dylan Thieneman, linebacker CJ Allen, tight end Kenyon Sadiq, offensive tackle Monroe Freeling, offensive tackle Blake Miller, defensive tackle Peter Woods, offensive tackle Caleb Lomu, cornerback Brandon Cisse, and at pick 17, edge Hakeem Messador, Miami. So the players are there. The question is, can they miss? What's more important? We're going to find out in this year's free agency period that I don't believe a left tackle is going to be there. I don't see it. And I think that the recent information that I've heard is that Taylor Decker is most likely not coming back. But we're not going to know for several weeks. I think what he has to do, though, is he has to confirm with Brad Holmes whether he's coming back before the draft. He has to. And if he doesn't, I think that Brad Holmes needs to make sure that he goes into this draft with an open mind to say, I'm not planning on you. So if you don't tell me, I cannot not take a tackle. He has to take a tackle.
Is it a bad thing, though, if we have Taylor Decker and a first-round
Hell
tackle?
No, it's not. No, it's not. Because why? You take all that stress off of that left tackle, and you just let that left tackle learn everything that he can from Taylor Decker. and then it is what it is. But people saying, well, just bring Taylor Decker back as a coach. No. Because once you go coach, you can't go back for at least a year. Taylor Decker just needs to retire and stay available. Even though he retires, the Lions still control his contract. So if he retires and stays available and something happens and you lose your left tackle and he's healthy with all that time off and he's stayed ready, well, then you have Taylor Decker for the push. And I think that's the smarter move. And I think that Taylor Decker needs to realize that, don't do what Frank Ragnow did and retire and then get injured and then try to come back. No, just retire, stay ready, have the conversation with the Lions that I'll be ready to go. It'll be your last season either way, and we'll bring you up when we need you. But I would say that no matter what, you bring him up after the trade deadline. And you stash him on your roster, put him on the practice squad or whatever you need to do, and you have him around the team and ready to flow. Now, that, of course, for a guy that started, for 10 years, probably would feel a certain way. But if you want to win a championship, it shouldn't feel a certain way. Stay in football shape, stay ready to go, but be there because you never know at a moment's notice if someone's going to go down. And I think that we've already realized that it's pretty tough. It's pretty tough to win when you don't have an offensive line that is cohesive.
It's really hard to win when you have a left tackle that has one shoulder. And having just had shoulder surgery about 18 months ago, there's no way I could put on pads right now and hit with my shoulder. There's no way. So I don't know what his injury is exactly, or if he had surgery in the offseason, if it was just rest that was going to make it better.
I think he has the same thing going on that everybody does. He has arthritis. Yeah. He did have off-season shoulder surgery last year and didn't take. Clearly it didn't because he ended up with a massive injury again. The guy that I've been hot to trot on, which is Kaden Proctor since day one. It was one of the first profiles that I did. And I apologize, I haven't been doing much. I've been working a lot in the background and on other things, to manage my life. But I am very close to releasing a lot of information. Very close. It just took me a long time to put together a template to do what it is that I want to do this year. But Kaden Proctor was the number one guy to me, above all else. And he's always going to be number one to me. The combine is going to have to solidify that. Even if he doesn't run the best, which I'm expecting him to run sub 5, I still think he's number one. He's 20 years old. The guy is super young. This is another Penei Sewell in the making. Super young, coming in. He'll be 25 years old by the time he's done with his first contract. Still super young. He could play the next 15 seasons easily in the NFL and be 35 years old. Huh?
That's Proctor, you're saying?
Proctor.
Yeah.
The thing that I don't think people realize about Proctor is just how incredibly athletic he really is. When you look at this guy, I mean, I've seen some pictures of him over the last couple of weeks, but when you look at what he is all about, I think that you guys are going to change your mind here in just a moment. I'm going to show you something on Kaden Proctor.
You really got to.
Oh, shoot.
Where did Kaden Proctor go to school?
Bama.
Alabama. All right. So I like that already. And Brad likes Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
We got J-Mo, got Terry and Arnold, whole bunch of Alabama guys on our team. We are Alabama North.
Alabama North.
Well, kind of like the Eagles are Georgia North, and they like their teams they like to draft from, and some teams like to draft all players from Ohio State. It just,
it's funny as forever. I was always bitching and whining and crying about the Lions never drafting the guys from down south.
Yeah,
and how stupid that is to not draft the guys that are working in that heat all the time and working up against the best free agents in the league. This is not going to look the greatest, but it is what it is. All right, Kaden Proctor. This is going to have to play a couple of times because I kind of caught it in the middle, but here we go.
Future at this. I mean, it's tough, but what I learned, what I really had to go through my freshman year, that was tough with all the scrutiny and the criticism at such a young age. But I've been in the media since 14 years old. Like the years we kind of forced to grow up at this point. I'm a better player from it now. Now, like, I love the hate. It's cool because you do something right. You know you're doing something right. Somebody's on your ass all the time. Keep working, keep your head down. I mean, time's gonna get rough, but you're gonna get through it. You're gonna learn how to get through it, and you gotta learn through trial and error. I mean, that's what life is. You learn through trial and error, and that's just what I had to do. But I'm blessed to be where I'm at today.
Dude's a monster. Monster.
Yeah, he's a big dude.
Let's roll it back. Here we go.
You put your mind to anything, I promise you can do it. Because I promise you, I never thought I was going to be here in Dallas training for the NFL Combine and about to get drafted in April. I promise you, I never thought about that until I started working hard and coaches brought that to me. It was like you really got a future at this. I mean, it's tough, but what I learned, what I really had to go through my freshman year, that was tough with all the scrutiny and the criticism at such a young age. But I've been in the media since 14 years old. Like the years we kind of forced to grow up at this point. I'm a better player from it now. Now, like, I love the hate. It's cool because you do something right. You know you're doing something right. Somebody's on your ass all the time. Keep working, keep your head down. I mean, time's gonna get rough, but you're gonna get through it. You're gonna learn how to get through it, and you gotta learn through trial and error. I mean, that's what life is. You learn through trial and error, and that's just what I had to do. But I'm blessed to be where I'm at today.
Insane, dude. Insane. This dude is going to be the best left tackle in the league. Without a doubt. There's a reason why I got hot on him early. And it's because of videos like this, which I didn't have back then. This just came out not too long ago, maybe a few days ago.
Yep.
But watching his film and watching how he moves, it's different. His power is different. His agility is different. There's a reason why I have him as the number one tackle. Now go show me some tape on anybody else that they have ranked ahead of this guy. For instance, Spencer Fano.
That's the one you hear the most about.
Right. Show me some tape that can compare to just that workout alone. Here's what Lance Zierlein had to say. Fano lacks ideal proportional build-out, compensates with loose hips. Huh? You don't have a proportional build-out, but you're going to compensate because you got some oily loose hips? That doesn't work for me. Quick feet, high-end athleticism. Okay, I like that. He has the tools to mirror speed rushers, wall off the top of the pocket, and find a late anchor when taking the worst of a bull rush. He needs to stay square longer to prevent inside moves and refine his punch approach timing. His athletic profile is designed for move-based blocking schemes, which would be more of this gap wide zone type scheme. Really, it could be all three. It could be the zone scheme as well. But the reach and the climb while beating opponents to the spot with quickness and feel for hitting landmarks on time. I mean, I do love that aspect of his game. He gives good effort, has a downhill blocker, but issues with pad level and core strength lead to him being overtaken as the rep progresses. Fano's level of NFL success might be tied to scheme fit in individual matchups. That sentence, well, there's two sentences in this workup by Lance. The Fano lacks ideal proportional build-out, compensates with loose hips, and Fano's level of NFL success might be tied to scheme fit in individual matchups. If those are the two things that I pull out of his film, I'm not impressed. right? And now I haven't watched the same film that Zerline has, but I will tell you this. If you're telling me that this guy has to be tied to a scheme and has to go up against lesser than ideal matchups to win, that's not a guy I want. If you are tied to the scheme as a quarterback, what do they say you are? You're a system quarterback. You could only play in a system. You're a game manager. Now, for some quarterbacks, that works. For some teams, that's what you want out of that player. They've been saying that about Jared Goff for a long time, that he's just a system, scheme quarterback. It's different. It's totally different because that is the scheme and that is the system that they want him to run. And that is the system and the scheme that they built around him. It's a little bit different when you're a tackle because you're going up against so many different players with different bags of tricks. You have to be able to overpower all of them. And I don't see it. I don't see how he is at the top of the board right now over a guy like Kaden Proctor. I don't see it. I really don't. Or the next guy, Francis Maui Goa. Now, let me put it this way. The difference is Fano, let me pull him up. The other day when we were doing this, I kept on having issues with my ears. And who was the player that you mentioned? Because I said he never played left tackle. Did you mention Fano or Lomo?
It was one of them. I think it was Fano. There was one of them that was a right tackle.
That's what I had thought too, and that's why I said he's never played left tackle before, which would be Fano.
Yeah.
I mean, well, let me take that back. Fano played left tackle, I think, in his freshman season, maybe. Yes, freshman season. He played left tackle maybe half the season, then he switched. So the last couple of years has been all right tackle. Well, why would you want Fano in Detroit? That doesn't work for me. If he can't play the position, it doesn't make sense to try to switch guys. It's not that easy to switch guys. It really isn't.
Too many people think that it's going to be some easy transition to take Penei Sewell and put him to the left.
Yeah, no. I mean, even though he was a primary left tackle at Oregon, he's played the last 5 years at right tackle. You have to relearn everything all over again. Your muscle memory is built to the right side of the offensive line. Now, if you had to throw him out there in a pinch, would he do great? Probably. But as the season wears on, different story. Right? I think the Penei would get better and better and better as the season went on too, but it's not that easy. I thought that you maybe have mentioned Lomu because it was a little bit later in the draft and not Fano. I don't remember which one that you chose, but I thought I heard Fano. But Lomu, if it was Lomu, he has played left tackle the last 3 years, at least the last 2. And he is someone that, could play the position. But again, let's take a look at Lomu and his trajectory or what Zerline is thinking about Lomu and how that compares to Kaden Proctor. Where is Lomu? Why is he not listed up in the top? Did he fall down? Might have fallen down. Oh, wow. There he is, 31. Yeah, I'm definitely not taking a guy that you could get at the end of the first round, potentially in the second round. I'm not taking him over Kaden Proctor. That's for damn sure. So here's Lomu, a 2-year starting left tackle who still is in the early stages of his development. How old is this guy? I don't see how old he is. Utah's run game leaned heavily on the movement and misdirection, preventing Lomu from firing out and showing his power. His run blocking trails his pass protection, but improved pad level and a nastier demeanor could close the gap. I want someone that's nasty from day one. Right? I want someone that has a chip on their shoulder from day one. I don't want someone that has to work at getting angry. I want you angry right now. Flip that switch. There's no working into it. It usually doesn't come to you at age 20 or 21. You can just turn on that angry switch. That usually doesn't exist. In protection, he shows good balance with adequate foot quickness, landing quick, well-timed punches in using a firm grip to control rushers once he's in. His anchor was rarely stressed by power, and his athletic recoveries are average. Lomu flashes, but is still under construction. His play could improve rapidly with strength gains and additional coaching. Okay. Not impressed. I'm not impressed. Why? Again, if we're taking everything at face value here with Zurline's mock-up here, he flashes, but he's under construction. His play could improve with strength gains. If you're not coming into the league strong, that's a problem. He's still in the early stages of his development. I think everybody is. We didn't get to see a lot of his power because they used a lot of movement and misdirection. So based on the two players that I've mentioned already, I mean, are any of them exciting you at all?
I'm not sure yet. Really not. I'm just trying to learn these guys' names so far. You know, where they went to school.
You got to read them every day, man.
Yeah.
So Proctor, we're going to talk about Proctor. Proctor is a mass of humanity with rare size and length. He's capable as a move blocker, but shines when rolling downhill as a bona fide people mover with bulldozing power. Well, hell, the first two sentences are way different than the other two. Way different. You didn't hear the word rare. You didn't hear the words bulldozing, and you didn't hear the word people movers from the other two prospects. Here's where we get into the however. Slants and quick first steps beat him to the spot in the run game. When set and centered, Proctor is a roadblock to speed to power charges. He has a stout anchor and strong hands to stall the rush in its track. He struggles to mirror athletes in space and lacks the range to protect deeper pocket drops against speed. Inconsistency in pass protection hasn't helped his draft standing, but he still has the potential to become a good right tackle or a very good guard. This dude is smoking something good. Like really good. The fact that he just mentioned that he could become a good right tackle or a good guard, but yet he just totally described him much different than Fano or Lomu. Much different. He's played left tackle for 3 straight seasons, over 2,500 snaps, more than any of the other prospects. His grades are stupendous. His size is otherworldly at 6'7", 366 pounds. He's barely going to be 21 years old in his first season. And you just saw the video. I didn't see any lack of power at all. I didn't see a lack of ability with speed. If anything, I saw a guy that was able to jump out of the gym and might even have a very impressive long jump when we get to the combine. And if he has a very impressive long jump or a very impressive vertical, that's going to tell me he can get out quick. And what I know about the new offense is we're looking at Jared Goff under center more. And if that's the case, Jared Goff isn't going to be dropping into those 5 to 7 step drops or always stuck in shotgun. He's going to be coming out of center more often, which then I would say, okay, I'm not as worried about, what Zurline's saying here, where he, isn't able to mirror, to drop into the deep pockets. I think that Kaden Proctor is the best left tackle in this draft, without a doubt. Without a doubt. Anything you want to add to any of this?
Sure. Daniel Jeremiah had a few things to say about Kaden Proctor, that he's an enormous tackle prospect. He excels on down blocks, washing defenders down the line of scrimmage. And he was even used as a skill player on occasion at Alabama, and even caught a quick screen pass against Georgia. That speaks to his athleticism. Overall, Proctor will need to manage his weight to stay at tackle, but he has the most upside of any blocker in this draft.
I would agree. Weight is always going to be an issue for any player, and he's a massive human. But when I look at him, what I don't see is I don't see a guy that has a giant belly at all. Matter of fact, he reminds me a lot of Penei Sewell. When Penei Sewell was coming into the league, yeah, he had a lot of baby fat. You go look at Penei Sewell back in 2021 and look at him now. Way different. Penei Sewell had all the baby fat in the world, round face, a little bit chubbier, and then he all of a sudden just turned into this washboard, type of a midsection. I mean, he doesn't have like a six-pack of abs or anything, but he's pretty flat. That's pretty impressive to be that big and to be that flat. Kaden Proctor's the same way. As big as he is, as much weight as he is carrying, he is pretty flat. He's not carrying a spare tire here around his belly. The dude is in shape. And based on what we just witnessed just a few days ago, he looks like he's in the best shape of his life. So I think that when you get into players like this, the one thing that I'm going to take over anything else is experience. The second most important thing is going to be their agility. If they can move, technique you can teach, right? But you can't teach movement. You can't teach someone to be fast. You can teach technique with their foot speed, and how to get their feet, quicker, and proper technique is everything. Matter of fact, proper technique will fix a lot more issues than not. Like if you have a slow set, proper technique could fix that. And it could be a quicker set. I think that Proctor's he's going to absolutely blow the doors off of everybody. But I don't see where he's a right tackle or a guard. No way. No way. No way. What are we talking about in the chat? Anything? Let's see. What is this about a heart attack in the chat? What are we talking about?
I don't know. I do agree with Robbie, though, talking about Hutch and McNeil having better seasons this year, being healthier this year. They'll be a year removed from their injuries that they were both overcoming last year. Having the 2024 season knock both of them out of the season. It takes a good year and a half to get over an ACL, and that's what McNeil's overcoming. And I'm going to say the same for your leg getting snapped in two. It's not going to be perfect after one off season. Those guys, I think you're going to see a measurable jump going into this year over last year.
Okay. Couple of things I'll review in the chat. And I don't even know where a lot of these conversations are coming from or going to.
Mm-hmm.
But number one, did someone mention Jake Slaughter having short arms?
I'd love that name. I'd buy that jersey. Slaughter.
Oh, I think I'm probably going to buy it anyway.
Yeah.
All right. So I don't know where the short arms thing is coming from, but let me walk you guys down a path of arm length. I mean, I'm the number one guy in the world. I should just get a damn t-shirt that says something about arm length. Actually, I got a really good idea. Let me write that down. Where's my pen?
35-inch arms or Will's not drafting you. No T-Rex arms.
I'm going to see if I can get it ready for the combine. Okay. Let's talk about arm length for just a moment. I want to dispel some of the notions about arm length. I mean, you guys know one of the most important things to me when talking about prospects is the exact opposite of Brad Holmes. I am a height, weight, speed kind of guy, right? I do care about arm length. I do care about the innate ability to move men, right? I care about how fast you are. It's not everything. It's a lot of what I do because my proprietary models are built off of that. And then the bigger part of that is going to the combine to watch how they work, watch how they move, watching the film. I can't do anything without an eye test, right? And neither can anyone at the next level. Now, you give me the time, the money, the resources, being an NFL scout, then it'll change everything in a heartbeat. I think that I would be great at it. Simply, you have to have an eye for talent. I believe I have an eye for talent. I've picked a lot of really good football players that have become some of the best in the NFL since I've been doing this. And it's not the well-known players that I'm picking. I'm picking some of the players that are lesser known that other people aren't talking about. And this year, there's a couple. But arm length specifically, the way it works, and here's what I have noticed. I have this big model. Let me see if I can show you guys. I probably won't be able to. I have this big model that I created over the last couple of years, and this year it's going to take another level. Where is it? Where's offensive lineman? O-line 25. Here we go. Actually, let me go to the best. Go to the top O-line ever. Why is it not in here?
Robbie says 33-inch arms equals a stud. 32 3/4 equals a dud.
It depends on what you're talking about. Depends on the position.
Edge rusher.
Edge rusher, yes. Then you're having some issues. But again, it all depends. You have to take everything into consideration. Where the hell is my offensive line? All right, I'm just gonna have to go from memory. I'm not gonna be able to show you right now. But in a nutshell, here's how it works for me. I know I have my metrics scale down here somewhere. Arm length. If you are under 31.75 inches, you are a nope rope, right? Not happening. No way. Doesn't translate. If you are over 32 inches and under 33.5 inches, you're kind of below average. And the reason why I say that, and this is specifically for like tackles, right? You're below average. This doesn't equate to guards and it doesn't equate to centers. When you get above 33.5 inches and you're under 34 inches of arm length, you are in that average to elite range. Anything over 34 inches is elite. Anything over 34.25 inches, we're talking a quarter of an inch, is rare. There are not many tackles in this league that have 34 plus inch arms. There's just not a whole, and there's very few that have 35. I think Proctor's arms are 35 inch. Crazy long arms. Mayada's arms are like 35 inch. Rare. Extremely rare. And what that does to a defensive end charging at you is a lot. Because all you have to do is stick out that one long arm with that giant wingspan, and now you've got that guy pinned 5 feet away from you. That's what 35-inch arms do. Because when you get that one long arm stab, you can get that guy 5 feet away from you, which is another, 5-6 feet away from the quarterback at a minimum. You're talking 3-4 yards between the defensive end and the quarterback. That's a lot of distance to cover. When you talk about centers, I see that you guys are talking about Jake Slaughter. Here's why Jake Slaughter does not have T-Rex syndrome. Because most elite centers to ever play the game are under 33 inches, and a lot of them are between 31 and 3/4 and 32 and 3/4. A lot of them. And I wish I had it in front of me, so I might just have to pick off a couple and just look them up real quick. Let me look up the most we're way off track, but oh well.
That's okay.
I mean, when I used to do the night shows, which we will get back to doing it here tonight, this is the kind of stuff that I would educate about because a lot of people don't talk about it. Let's just start with Jason Kelce. Let's put this as a vote. Do you believe Jason Kelce was an elite center?
Sure.
Let's put a poll up. Was Jason Kelce elite? Speaking of Kelsey's, does anyone watch that show Trader?
Never seen it.
Oh, yeah, well, you got to watch it. They got 3 seasons now. Mama Kelsey was on it, or is on it.
What's it on?
I think it's Peacock.
Oh, I don't have that.
You don't have Peacock?
I got everything else. I don't have that.
You got to have Peacock.
I got Hulu, Disney, Netflix, Amazon Prime. I got all that crap.
Let's throw out some elite centers. So Jason Kelce. His arm length is 32 and a half inches. 32 and a half inches at 6'3". 295 pounds was his heaviest weight. That's pretty light to be a center. There's a stark difference between a guy like Jason Kelce and a Frank Ragnow. Frank Ragnow, I believe, was 6'5", 320 pounds, 33 and an 1/8 inch arms. So you're talking just a little over a half inch more of arm length. But why it doesn't matter for center as much is because they're not out there trying to paint the lines as a tackle. Even less, for guards. The arm length goes from tackle to guard to center. Tackles, I need 33 and a half inch or more. Guards, I prefer 33 inches and up. Centers, I prefer 32 inches and up. And that is backed by countless centers that I've weighed all these metrics against. Who was another elite center? Let's look at Tyler Linderbaum.
Isn't he a massive human?
Do you think his arm length is more or less than 33 inches?
I'm going to say more.
He has some of the shortest arms in the league.
Really?
31 and an 1/8.
Hey, there you go.
As a center, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't. Now, if you can have long arms and you're a little bit taller, then yeah, of course, it would make more sense to have longer arms. But a center, it's not as needed as much as it is at the other positions. So I'm less concerned about arm length at center. I really am. I don't worry about it. So let's get back to Jake Slaughter. I'm not going to go forever on this, but what is Jake Slaughter's arm length? I know some people were mentioning it in the chat, but I want to say he's 32 and a half or greater. I see 32.75. So that's elite. As a center, that's elite arm length. As a tackle, it's not. As a guard, it's not elite. It's probably right around average, to be honest with you. Your average arm length as a guard is probably 33, but it's not much more. Wouldn't fit as a tackle, but he fits perfectly as a center. So there you go.
Robbie says, open the lines.
Maybe. We'll see if I can get there or not. I don't know how much more time you have today. Jeff Saturday.
I'm good today because I won't be on tomorrow.
Oh, that's right. You got
Getting some teeth worked on.
Jeff Saturday. God, I forgot that name. I don't have his arm length.
They were saying Dominic Raiola.
It was another good name. Dominic Raiola. Frank Ragnow already did. Jeff Saturday. 3 years ago, Jeff Saturday broke down Tyler Linderbaum. Let's see what he said. The 2022 offensive line class has a clear-cut top center prospect in Iowa's Tyler Linderbaum. However, despite his consensus position among draft analysts, his stock has taken a considerable hit since the combine. This began when the weigh-in numbers dropped, revealing that Tyler Linderbaum's height was only 6'2". 6'2" and what is that, 3/8? His weight was 296 and his arm length was 31 1/8. Bottom 6% numbers. Linderbaum wasn't able to test and confirm the rare movement skills seen on tape due to a lingering foot sprain that he suffered in the team's bowl game against Kentucky, which only fueled the skepticism sparked by his underwhelming size. That was a game that many thought that he should have skipped, but chose to participate anyway out of loyalty for his team. Linderbaum, though, did cement his status as an all-time great athlete at center at his pro day, doing it at 302 pounds, posting the best three-cone of all time for an interior offensive line prospect, but there remain serious doubts about his status as a first-round selection due to the size concerns, as well as the common belief that center is a non-premium position unworthy of a high-end draft capital. Considering Linderbaum's polarizing profile at draft prospect, I wanted to bring in an expert and what his takes to play center position is at the highest level to break down his film. This led me to reach out former All-Pro and center Super Bowl champion and current ESPN analyst Jeff Saturday. Not only did Saturday start in 220 NFL games over a Hall of Fame worthy 14-year career, but he did it at nearly the same size as Linderbaum. Jeff Saturday at the 1998 Combine was 6'2" and 3/10, 296 pounds, 31.5-inch arms, 10 1/8-inch hands. Linderbaum at the 2022 Combine, 6'2", 296, 31 1/8 arms, 10-inch hands. I think the most important thing, before I go any further, most important thing about a center is their hands. You cannot play center with small hands. You can't. That is a prerequisite for me. That'll drop you out of my list if you have small hands. If you can't hold the football in the rain or in the snow or in the mud-covered field, I don't want you. Then you're a liability. Then we have bad snaps, right? You're not going to be able to hit it in shotgun, and you're only going to cause issues between you and the quarterback if you can't hold the football. So I really don't need to go into this, but partly because I have to go into to subscribe for something, which I don't know why. Maybe this is a Substack. Yeah, it's a Substack. But either way, very, very similar size, almost identical size to Jeff Saturday. Tyler Linderbaum. Jake Slaughter. Was 6'4" to 6'5", somewhere he's going to measure between there. 303 plus pounds. Let's see what they have in the combine for him. I'll have to look him up on my stat sheet in just a moment because it's not going to show. This is why I need the combine. Okay. The 32 3/4-inch arms. 520 in the 40, 9 7/8-inch hands. So he has the hand size. I prefer 10-inch hands, but 9 7/8 is good enough. If it's much smaller than 9.5, I'm probably not as impressed. You have to be able to hold a football. I mean, and so far he's been able to do that, but a college football is a lot smaller than the Duke. So we'll see where that goes. Anything else in the chat that we noticed here?
Attila says, tell Jake Slaughter to fake getting hurt and run a slow 40 time and promise we'll draft him.
Right. I do think he's going to be available right now in the second round, right now, until he tests. And I think that the issue that we have in this draft is the quarterbacks not being as prevalent and some of the other positions not being as prevalent. I think you will see some unique positions taken earlier than typical. Now, there's been a first round center just about every other draft. It seems like there's been a first round center, and the majority of them have worked out. The majority of them. Do I believe that Jake Slaughter is deserving of a first round pick? Potentially. I think that you don't want to lose out on an opportunity of drafting the guy, but I have to wait. My final mock will tell you exactly where I think these guys are going to be, and what I think about them has to be after the combine.
Nice thing about the combine is we get through the combine, then a week later, it's free agency. And then we can clear a lot of things up, knowing what exactly the Lions need to go after in the draft in April. Because right now it's pretty muddy. We need a center, we need a left tackle, we need safety, we need a linebacker. As of right now, we need everything.
Let's see. Someone was talking about Isaac Tesla in here. What's the Tesla conversation?
I don't know.
Here we go. Isaac Tesla is a tall wide receiver who will not be on the line blocking defensive ends.
Yeah, as a tight end.
Oh, yeah, I hope not either. I hope he's a pass-catching tight end that's going out for routes. There's three different types of tight ends in the league. You've got pass catchers, you've got blockers, and then you've got the mixture. The guys that can do it all. Sam Laporta is a do-it-all. Brock Wright is a blocker. In a system like the 13 personnel, even though he'll never be listed as a tight end, Isaac Tesla can be that pass catcher. You need someone that can go out there, and essentially it's 12 personnel, but it's utilizing him running those tight end routes and getting him hopefully lined up on a linebacker. That's your goal. That's your entire goal with that is to get him stuck on a linebacker. And my God, if the Lions can somehow figure out a way to do that, you better not change personnel and you better just go straight down the field. I think we're going to have some fun this year in Drew Petzing's offense. I really do. I think that it's going to be one of the best offenses we've seen in a long time. All right, what's next on the list? Enough stalling here. Let's get rolling. So we've talked about who's at 17. 20 men was talking tackle, so I guess, to kind of go and coincide with what we were talking about, Spencer Fano, he says, a 3-year starter with experience at both tackle spots. Fano excels in the run game with his combination of athleticism and movement skills and is still has room to build his frame up to handle bigger bull rushing edges in the NFL. I don't see why you'd want to bring in a guy right away in the first round and say that he's a developmental tackle. They're all going to develop, right? Every single one of these guys is going to get better. Every single one of these guys is going to get in better shape. But if we want a tackle that can come in and set it now and allow this team to take the next step and go to the Super Bowl, I don't think you take a risk there. I don't. I want a guy that can come in and play at a high level right now. And I'm sorry. There's a big difference between 6'6", 308 and 6'7", 367. Big difference. He talks about Francis Mauigoa from Miami, 6'6", 335, a 3-year starter at right tackle for the Hurricanes. Mauigoa has the frame of an NFL guard, but the athleticism and movement skills of a tackle. He allowed just 2 sacks and 9 total pressures this past season, helping to lead Miami to the national championship, where they ended up losing. And then he says, Kaden Proctor at 6'7", 366 is an enormous tackle with remarkably good feet and athleticism for such a massive frame. He was used as a skill player in the backfield at times and even caught a pass, which speaks to his athleticism. He's a mauler in the run game. Before 2025, Proctor squatted 815 pounds. He's benched over 535 pounds, and he's power cleaned 405. Bruce Feldman's Freaks List for a reason. Caleb Lomu at 6'6", 308. Draft analysts think that there is a lot of upside with Lomu as he builds out his frame and core strength once he gets into the NFL weight room. Lomu plays with good technique, and he has all the tools to be a good tackle in this league as he adds muscle and experience. Monroe Freeling, Georgia, 6'7", 315, a starter at left tackle for the Bulldogs in 25, with plenty of room to grow, having just 16 college starts to his credit. That's a big red flag to me. Big red flag. He has an ideal frame and athleticism to be a starting left tackle for a long time in the NFL. Combine sleeper to watch, Keegan Trost out of Missouri. And that's it. So out of all of these guys, I really believe it's coming back to Kaden Proctor. 815 pounds squatted, 535 benched. So imagine, Eric, I mean, you're going up against a bull rush, right? This guy's 260 pounds. He's coming at you with speed. And then he's trying to put all of his weight and power into you, and you're able to just bench 535. That means you can move twice that human just by extending your arms with power. Proctor's different. He's just different. I just hope that he's not one of those guys that is so rare that something happens. You know, something doesn't work out. Mentally, doesn't get it. Neck up, doesn't get it. That's the one thing I don't know. Does he have it from the neck up? We know he has it from the neck down, but does he have it from the neck up? Any thoughts on any of these guys?
Proctor sounds great, man. You're starting to convince me on this kid. Sounds like he is a Manu type rarity physical wise, but has played American football instead of Canadian football.
There you go. He's definitely different than Manu.
But I don't mean he's the build of Manu. I mean physically he's a rare specimen like Manu is.
I'm going to pop this in the chat. Here's the 319 combine prospects for this year's combine. You guys can take a look at it later. Whenever
what is Proctor's ape score?
Well, that would mean that I need his wingspan.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know that we have that yet. Let me see let me go to my I don't know if we have it.
Robbie says, if the difference between Proctor and the other two left tackles you spoke about is Proctor was in the right system to showcase his strength and the other two were not.
It's funny. I just looked up Ape Index.
Mm-hmm.
I looked up Kaden Proctor wingspan, actually, and my article popped up.
Oh, jeez.
That's crazy. Hold on here. It's got to go to my article and look. I guess I already did the work. Let's see. well. Mm, 106. So that's going to put him in elite range. Wingspan, 83.5 inches is what I have. But that's an early measurement. That's an early measurement. Let's see. I got this little cheat code. Let's see if I can find it. Nope, they don't have it. No official yet. I can't remember if he went to any of the bowls. If he went to the Shrine Game or the Senior Bowl or any of that. I don't remember if he did. And even if he did, I don't know if they did all the measurements. And sometimes players won't do the measurements. But you can get a lot of the measurements just from those two games alone. All right. We talked about Max Crosby or no?
No, we have not done that yet.
Okay. Let's take a quick 10-second break here and then be right back.
Throwing middle, caught inside the 5. Jahmyr Gibbs to the end zone. Touchdown, Detroit Lions. 14 yards on the strike. Goff to Gibbs. You can't cover that man one-on-one. You just can't do it.
Nice job.
Jared takes the snap back, looking, throwing middle. Got Amon-Ra inside the 2, to the 1, to the end zone. Touchdown, Detroit Lions. Amon-Ra, St. Brown. Amon-Ra, St. Brown.
Nice job.
Mariota's got it back. Pressure comes. He's hit. Slips out of it. Rolling to his right. Now he's going down. Brian Branch got him. Sack for the Lions. Snap taken by Mariota. Wants to throw it. Gonna get hit. Gonna get sacked.
Yes,
Take it down. Brian Branch got him second time today.
Nice job.
Hands it to Gibbs, running right, runs through a tackle, gets down to the 10, Gibbs to the 5, still fighting, down to the 2, down to the 1, to the end zone! Yes. Touchdown, Detroit Lions! He did not quit!
Nice job.
All right, Eric, the biggest question so far this offseason that has popped up about Max Crosby is if he's going to actually leave the Raiders and what teams are the best fits for Max Crosby. Well, as usual, every Lions fan or a lot of them feel like Max Crosby belongs in Detroit. And I mean, look, I'm not going to shake the tree down and try to squeeze Max Crosby into Detroit. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think that there's a fit, and there's a lot of reasons why. But one of the most important reasons is money, right? It's money, it's draft capital, the cost of bringing Max Crosby in. There's been some conversation over the last week as to what happened in Vegas as to why that maybe there's a Max Crosby that's unhappy. And Max has also come to his own defense just with the insiders over the last week, where he said that there's a lot of people that are pushing all of this stuff out there. It's not him. He's been asked definitively, has he said these things, and he hasn't. So for whatever reason, people are saying that, oh, he thinks the Detroit is the number one fit. That's never been said, at least not this year. No, I think Max last year said, he would love to play for Detroit. Doesn't mean it's his number one fit. Doesn't mean that that's where he wants to go this year. And the Jay Glazer story was nothing but rubbish. I mean, he just said what he said and then said that there was 20 teams that contacted him. Why would 20 teams contact Glazer and not Vegas? Like that didn't make any sense. But either way, it got the fan base all riled up as they are every year with the term edge. And then, of course, Max Crosby or Myles Garrett or Trey Hendrickson. I don't care the name. It always gets this fan base riled up. And I think it's irresponsible that certain media outlets fan the flames here and take advantage of the fan base this way, because it's not a fit. As much as we would like to think Brad Holmes and the Detroit Lions would love to bring in Max Crosby, the answer is how. Or the question really is how. The answer is, well, if they would have done it, they would have done it already. Because now you have a quarterback that's getting $70 million. He's not on a rookie contract. That you're not giving yourself any wiggle room here to make a mistake. And if you make a mistake that big, you can forget a Super Bowl in Detroit with this roster. If you were to bring in a guy like Max Crosby right now and cap strap and draft strap this team for the next several seasons, the window's over. If you don't make it now, it's done. There is no coming back from this one, because you won't be able to replenish in the draft. And then all of those contracts are going to come to a head, and you're going to start losing some really good football players that you need, because you're never one team away. And I'll take that from Bill Polian that just said it this week. No team has ever been one player away, ever. That is a former NFL GM, one of the best to do it, and is telling you definitively you are never one player away. Now, does Max Crosby make some sense for other teams? He absolutely does. Could there be a team that ends up with him this year? Potentially. But that means that Vegas is going to want to walk away. And that means that Vegas is also going to be happy with what they get in return. Albert Breer said that, quote, there's a lot of fence mending that's going to need to happen if the Raiders are going to hang on to Max Crosby. I think that is a bad statement, because right now Max Crosby is under contract. Max Crosby's not going anywhere. He's not going anywhere unless Vegas says so. That's how it works. He also said, quote, he goes all the way to the top of the organization with Tom Brady and Alex Guerrero. The way the communication happened with the injury in December left a mark. This is the guy who's incredibly loyal to the Raiders organization, wanted to spend his entire career there, and is loyal to Mark Davis as well. Now he feels betrayed, and I think that there is this feeling. I'm 28 years old. They didn't do right by me. So now it's time for me to go find a way to win. End quote. Well, Max didn't say that. He didn't say they betrayed me. He didn't say I need to go find a way to win. That's somebody else saying that. It's not coming from Max's mouth. But the problem here is not so much what happened last year, is to maybe the communication. So here's again what Breer said. He said he was part of the communicating the Raiders' decision and why they made the decision to shut him down in December, which angered Max. I believe the day was December 23 when they had some scans done, and the Raiders basically told him after the scans, quote, we're gonna shut you down for the season. Max had a strong suspicion that the reason that they were doing it was to tank for the number one overall pick, which it worked. But the communication got fouled up is what is being said here. And that a lot of people in that building have reported that Alex Guerrero is now seen as the eyes and ears of Tom Brady internally. So there is some fence mending, again, that is going to have to happen here, is what Albert Breer thinks for a Max Crosby situation in Vegas. If they're going to be able to repair this relationship, which I don't know that it's damaged. Max hasn't come out and said that there's a damaged relationship. And let's be honest, being shut down for 2 games because you have a meniscus tear, why would anyone be upset at that? You're going to get paid. You don't get to go out and further injure yourself. And they shut you down. And now you got a number 1 pick in return to be able to rebuild your team. Are there some teams that maybe make sense? Are there some fits? Well, again, I think that the irresponsible thing here is taking the advice or idea of Mark Ross, an NFL analyst, NFL.com analyst that people have been pumping out in the local media, because he said this, quote, "The Lions have so much talent on the roster, and it does appear that their Super Bowl window is still open." I didn't know it was ever closed. I didn't even know there was a window, honestly. However, Detroit missed the playoffs in 25, showing that the league does fall in line with the not for long motto. And Lions general manager Brad Holmes needs to make a significant move to improve the defense, which just finished the season ranked 18th in total defense and 22nd in points allowed. Crosby would fit perfectly, complement Aiden Hutchinson, forming a top pass rush duo in Detroit. His play style fully aligns with Dan Campbell's grit mentality, way overplayed, and the Eastern Michigan product's homecoming would send Lions fans into a frenzy. Well, he doesn't even need to come to Detroit for fans to be thrown into a frenzy. But let me break down why this is very irresponsible take. Number 1, Brad Holmes doesn't need to make any significant moves to fix the defense that involves the defensive end. Why? Well, we have Aiden Hutchinson under contract. He had a pretty damn good year coming back from a massive leg injury, and all signs point that he should be able to at least replicate an average season that he's had so far throughout his career, which would be a damn good season. However, fixing the defense is not on the defensive line. Without any secondary, it doesn't matter who you have on the defensive line. If you have a great secondary, you can do great things. If you don't, you can forget about it. And if you look around the league, I think that bell has been answered by every team that has a great defensive front line. They're not winning because they don't have a great secondary. That's the real reason. The ball comes out in 2.6 seconds, and if you don't have a secondary to hold up, well, it's game over. So one person in this article from the NFL, NFL.com, best trade fits for Max Crosby, one person said that it makes sense for the Lions. All of the others, Michael Baca chose the Cowboys. David Carr says stay in Vegas. Eric Edholm, lead draft writer, says Tampa Bay. Maurice Jones-Drew picked, Jacksonville Jaguars. Why not? There's bias there. All right, there's bias there because, Jones-Drew loves his former Jags. But nobody else picked Detroit. The number 1 team that does make sense, that is Dallas. And I'll explain why in just a minute. But Eric, what is your final thoughts here? And do you feel that all of this has just been pomp and circumstance yet again just to get clicks this season?
Oh, for sure. And it's not just Lions fans. This is Bears fans. This is Packer fans, Vikings fans. I've seen it from every single fan base except for the Las Vegas Raiders, that 31 other teams, they all want to trade for Max Crosby this offseason. Every fan base wants this guy. I can understand why fans would want him on their team. He's a good player. But listen, I would rather, like someone said in the chat, I think it was J-Rod, I would rather go out and get 3 or 4 complementary players, a linebacker, a safety, a corner, and an edge that isn't up to the same level as Max Crosby. Let's say you get another guy, All right, here's one that just popped up. Okay. The Dolphins are releasing 2-time Pro Bowl pass rusher Bradley Chubb. He's 29 years old. This guy, in the last 2 full seasons with the Dolphins, he's had 20 sacks, 8 forced fumbles, 117 tackles. So what about Bradley Chubb or someone like that? Get someone maybe not as expensive, and this guy's not going to cost you any draft picks. He's just going to cost you money. I would rather have someone that just costs some money and not draft picks. Brad likes to keep his draft capital and do wonders in the draft with his draft capital. That is where he likes to do trades and move things around. Not so much trading with players in free agency. I just don't see Dan or Brad going for a Max Crosby type of trade. Now, at the trade deadline, I know he has tried to pull off some trades. It just hasn't happened. And he said as much, that you have to have a partner that's willing to trade with you to pull off a trade. And there just hasn't been anyone there willing to trade at the trade deadline when we needed an edge rusher or when we needed that player. So I think we need to put this Max Crosby bit to bed unless we hear something definitive from Max Crosby or something definitive from the Detroit Lions that they are trying to acquire him. I think you just need to put it all to bed. It's just all speculation for now. You know, even this rumor that Max told Tom Brady that he is no longer going to play for the Las Vegas Raiders. He took his last snap. He's not going to play another snap. He would rather retire than play another snap for the Raiders. As far as we know, there has been no coming out by Tom Brady saying that he actually said this.
Yeah, and I don't think that we're ever going to hear that. I mean, I think that we know a couple of things. About conversations like this or rumors like this. I mean, it is rumor season, but I think that there is a gross irresponsibility by a lot of different either creators or media members that latch onto this and they drive it to death because it's forever going to create clicks. I guess I could jump in the fray today, and I probably will. You know what? I'll do a video, and I'm going to explain exactly why it doesn't make sense, like I'm going to do right here. And I'll explain why some other teams make more sense. But when I read things or I hear things like Max Crosby said that, Detroit would be the number one choice. Yeah, well, did Max say that? No. And did Max confirm a week ago that all of this stuff that is being said is out of his control? That should tell you he's not saying it. And if he's not saying it, then why is anyone putting any stock or any weight in all of these articles that come out that try to say that Max is coming to Detroit or Max would be a perfect fit in Detroit? I love what Robbie said. And that would be that Max Crosby would fit perfectly in Detroit. And he would fit perfectly because he would blow up the roster. That's exactly what he would do. In so many words, he says Crosby would fit perfectly to destroy the roster and send the Lions back to the basement of the division. That's exactly what would happen. Maybe it's foolish to think that way, that bringing in a high-profile football player can actually make your team worse. Well, again, we just witnessed what happened with the Packers. They went all in with Micah Parsons. It blew up in their face. And now that player's done for 2026. He could be back, but will he be the same player? They don't even have a first-round pick to double back and try to do something for the next 2 years. And there's one thing that we do know, that the amount of money and the amount of draft cap that it is going to cost to get Max Crosby from almost every analyst out there, 2 firsts and a pick, or 2 firsts and a player. I don't see that happening, especially in Detroit. A team that is notoriously going to build and has built this team on the draft. And the teams that are winning Super Bowls, Seattle, they built their team through the draft. And every other team before them has built their team through the draft. Free agency, trade deadline has never really pushed the needle. It really hasn't. And we've gone over this many times. The players that have been added have really never done much to help those teams win. But there are a couple of teams that do make sense. Here's another quote from Albert Breer. He says, my understanding, listen closely, my understanding is there are a bunch of contenders that have already at least signaled interest. I think the Patriots will be one of them. And I would say that for that player in particular, Mike Vrabel is a draw. They have somebody on staff in Josh McDaniels who coached him. Okay? When I say listen closely, it's listen closely to the words. Now, I like Albert Breer. I think he's a top-notch dude. My understanding. That tells me you don't have direct sources. It tells me you don't have direct knowledge. You have an understanding that teams have reached out to Vegas, and those teams are multiple contenders, a bunch of contenders. I didn't know that there was a bunch of contenders in the NFL anyway. I think I would limit that to maybe 6 teams a year. I don't know if I'd call that a bunch. And then there's the fit, the scheme fit. Where does he fit? Here's the quote. There's some scheme fit stuff there too, talking about the Patriots. Who isn't Max Crosby a scheme fit for? It would make a lot of sense. So if there was somebody that I think that they could trade for, it's Max Crosby. I think Max would be it. Crosby racked up 10 sacks, 28 tackles for loss, 2 forced fumbles in 15 games. He has 69.5 sacks over 7 NFL seasons. And until this knee injury at the end of 25, he has been remarkably durable throughout his career. And to add to that, Crosby is not expected to even be healthy enough to perform, as far as a physical goes, and like a pro day, if you will, to go work out for a team until after the draft. I don't know if they've come out and said that he had knee surgery. I don't know if he had knee surgery. He had a torn meniscus. You can rehab it or you can have surgery done. Maybe he's rehabbing it, but I don't think that they've come out and said that he had done anything. So that's a big piece that we don't know. Now, there would be according to this, that this would be a phenomenal acquisition for the Patriots. They've got all kinds of money. The time is to be aggressive. Could be now. They've got their quarterback, get this, under a rookie contract. They have 2 defensive tackles that are under contract that are really high-level disruptors. And if you could put a high-level edge player with them, well, that maybe would form one of the best defensive fronts in football. Patriots make sense. They've got the draft cap. They've got the money. And they have players that they could trade if need be. But then there's best fits like Dallas. Dallas makes a lot of sense for a couple of reasons. Number one, well, they just got rid of Parsons. But I don't know that I see them getting rid of Parsons, then going right back into the tank with spending that kind of money on Max. However, you're talking almost $20 million less per year of what it was to sign Parsons compared to Max's contract. Maybe it does make sense. So you trade Parsons, you get first-round picks, and you're saving all that money, and then you go out and bring in Max, where you essentially didn't have to sign him. He's only making about $33 million per year, $35 million, whatever it is, APY, and they're armed with 2 first-round picks and a potential trade in George Pickens. That would definitely move the needle for Vegas. Pickens to Vegas with 2 first-round picks. They cleanse themselves from Micah Parsons, and they bring in a 5-time Pro Bowler in exchange and save themselves about $20 million per year on that contract that they didn't have to give Micah Parsons. Those are probably the 2 teams that make the most sense, and I think that Dallas probably makes the clear sense out of all that. I don't see it happening for Detroit, a team that does not have the money Period. They don't have the money. They have draft picks, future draft picks they can give away, but they do not have the money. Could you make room? Sure you could. Would you want to get rid of Ali McNeil to make room? Probably not. I don't see where it makes sense. No one's trading for Kirby Joseph, so that's off the table. Would you trade Brian Branch to make it happen? God, I hope not. How about Jamison Williams? Would you trade Jamison Williams to make it happen? Are you okay? Maybe that's the hot button question of the day. Are you okay with trading Jamison Williams for Max Crosby?
No.
Why not?
Because I think JMO is a very important piece to our offense. We need him to help unlock a certain part of our offense, and he really makes it work. And I think we can go cheaper. I think we can go younger at defensive end and can do more with, or we can do more with, for less, okay, than a player like Max Crosby. I don't want to trade away our assets that we have already that are known commodities. That we know have been good and put up good numbers. I want to keep the recipe going, because when you take a person that's important, that is that important in your locker room and for your offense, and you trade them away for Max Crosby, that sends a message to your team that no one is safe, that we could trade anybody we want. And teams that do that end up being like Dallas, where you have not the best team chemistry in the world. And then you end up going through a bunch of head coaches and everything falls apart. Well, I don't want to be the Dallas Cowboys. I want to be the Detroit Lions, that homegrown, draft their own talent. I want to draft it. I don't want to buy it. I really don't. And I don't want to trade the talent that we've cultivated to buy a free agent or another player from another team. I would just rather, let's build our own team instead of trying to be somebody else's team.
Yeah, I get all that. And I think the word that you mentioned that really sticks out is known commodities. Now, nobody is saying, yeah, we want to trade JMO.
Mm-hmm.
But when you think about what players you have available and where could you potentially find a player to trade, I think you have to look to the wide receiver room. Yeah, they do need to do something in that wide receiver.
I thought we were trading David Montgomery. I'm not trading both of them.
Well, you don't have to trade both of them. And David Montgomery is still on the block. And again, it's not so much coming from me as it is coming from inside information that David Montgomery is still on the block. But that's not going to move the needle for Vegas. They have Gianti. Now, would they want to bring in somebody like Monty that could be that 1-2 punch? Probably. But the reason why I bring up players like JMO's, you're not trading Amon-Ra. Isaac Tesla's done nothing yet.
But why wouldn't you trade Amon-Ra?
Because he is your team. He is your offense. You would never just trade your offense away like that. So you wouldn't trade Amon-Ra. Isaac Tesla hasn't done enough. And you can find another replacement for JMO easier than you can for Amon-Ra. Mm-hmm. Speed is speed, right? And turning speed into a good football player, yeah, that can take, significant time in the league, or you have to hit it right. But if you go and look at every single year of the draft and look at the players that typically have the most success, go look at your wide receivers. Look at the receiver. Here, you know what? 3 more minutes here, and then I'm bouncing because it's already 11 o'clock. But
yeah, I told my wife 11 today.
Let's see here. The NFL Draft 2025. We'll just look at this real quick. What players probably had the best season? Tedoroya McMillan, great season. Picked at number 8 overall. Great season. Colston Loveland, tight end, had a good season. Tyler Warren, I don't know how good his season was as a tight end, but Emeka Egbuka,
Ooh, he was great.
best player, out of the draft, clearly. So you have 2 receivers in the first round that had an amazing season. If I go to the second round, let's look at some more receivers. Jaden Higgins, Iowa State. How was his first season?
His was pretty darn good for the Texans. And he got to play in the playoffs, and he really heated up at the end of the year. That was a player I wanted bad.
Yeah, he was on our
I
list big
wanted
time.
him over Isaac Tesla, but he was already gone. And he was one of the second rounders that held out and got the fully guaranteed contract. Higgins was one I really wish we could have gotten, and he had one heck of a good season. Especially late in the season, and in the playoffs, he had to come on because they had lost a couple of wide receivers there for the Texans.
So, yeah, with Nico Collins had a rough year, but
Yeah.
So Texans, Jaden Higgins, 525 yards as a rookie. Well, I'm pretty sure that was better than Jameson's rookie year. His rookie year wasn't great because he only played in a handful of games and they weren't great. But even his second year wasn't great. But Jaden Higgins, I mean, that's a great way to kick off. And you know what? Adding that kind of yardage into this offense in your rookie year is exactly what you need. And somebody like Isaac Tesla should be able to jump out in his second year and have a much better season. Luther Burden.
He had a
Burden,
great season.
now he may not have all the stats in the world to kind of go with who he is, but 652 yards, 47 receptions. It's a lot easier to find a receiver to get some statistical output from than it is to go out and find other players like defensive ends or defensive tackles or safeties or corners that are going to take a little bit of time, potentially the right system, a little bit of luck. Receivers, run and catch, man. You got to learn the system, but it's run and catch. So in the first 2 rounds, you have 4 receivers that had a really good season. If you go back to 2024 and you look at that first round, Marvin Harrison Jr., I mean, he hasn't been crazy good.
He fell off this year.
But looking at his statistical output, that's not the right Marvin Harrison.
Isn't it the third?
Yeah, so 608 this year, 885 in his rookie year. Okay, that's type of statistical output is great. Malik Neighbors from 2024.
Oh, God. He would have been great had he not gotten hurt.
Now, again, you'd have to be in the right spot to get these players. But the point that I'm trying to drive here is he had 1,204 yards as a rookie. That's better than any year by Jameson Williams. But he's also the 6th pick overall. Rome Odunze, another good one. All right, let's get down towards 17. Let's see. Where do we have a receiver? Brian Thomas Jr. Decent season. Xavier Worthy. Ricky Pearsall. Xavier Legette hasn't done what I would have hoped that he would have done yet, but he's a good receiver. Keon Coleman was great for the Bills when he's used. Lad McConkey's been great for the Chargers. So again, you got 5, 6, 7 receivers in 2024 in the first 2 rounds that can put up the stats that J-Mo's putting up. The difference is the speed. I get that. And you can manufacture, any of these guys. I don't care if it's 4.4. 4.4 versus 4.3. There's not a receiver that's running, 4.4 or 4.5 unless it's, Monroe St. Brown's a little bit slower. But these X receivers, these guys on the outside, almost all of them are running sub 4.4. There's not a big difference between 4.4 and 4.3. There really isn't. You ask anybody in the league, and they're going to tell you, yeah, speed's different. JMO's speed is different, but to be able to chase him down, catch him, stop him over the middle, that's the only way his speed is different is on the outside. When he's able to fly, that's where the speed matters. But inside, when you're running those routes on the inside, it's kind of the same. I know a lot of you probably don't agree with that. I'm probably not saying it the right way, but the speed isn't that much different on the interior routes. That's why Amon-Ra St. Brown is so good. Jackson Smith-Njigba, going back to 2023, was the 20th pick overall. The Lions could have had him. We took Jack Campbell instead. Could have had him. Could you imagine Jackson Smith-Njigba right now and Amon-Ra St. Brown?
Oh my God.
Could you imagine that?
And JMO?
Well, I wouldn't have picked JMO at that point.
Yeah.
I mean, this was 2023.
Yeah.
You already had Jahmyr Gibbs. Let's see. How about some other wide receivers in that first round? I don't think there was many. Jordan Addison. Could have had Jordan Addison. Zay Flowers. Quentin Johnston didn't do anything. He hasn't really worked out. But there's 3 in the first round that are extremely good. And then in the second round, Jonathan Mingo hasn't done much. Jaden Reed's pretty damn good. Rashee Rice, when he's not in jail or crashing cars, whatever he's doing. Marvin Mims. Honestly, I don't even know how Marvin Mims is done. I don't think it's been that impressive. Let's take a look. I could be wrong. No, he hasn't been impressive at all. He's averaging about 450 yards or less per year. So, again, I'll just rest my case on this. The reason why I bring a player's name up like a JMO is because when I look to the draft and I look at how much easier it is to replace a player's statistical output, receivers are one of the easiest to replace. Edge, not easy. Corners, really not easy. Tight ends, not easy, especially if you have a good one like Sam Laporta. Really hard to find a great tight end. But wide receivers are a dime a dozen. Running backs could be the second easiest. But again, it takes a special athlete like a Jahmyr Gibbs. Like those are the kinds of guys you don't want to ever get rid of. Well, a receiver, I would trade a receiver all day versus any other position. All right, I've held you hostage long enough, man. I got to finish with something today, though, because I didn't last week.
All right.
Now, this is grimy, and your wife is going to hate me.
Yeah.
But here we go. Let me get some music going here. I kind of failed on getting the graphics done because I've been so busy, but all right, I got to finish with a couple of questions here. We're going to start doing a game show here pretty soon. But let me ask you a couple of questions. Other than squeezing fruit, what else would you choose by squeezing it? And play along in the chat. It might be a little dirty.
Rubber balls.
Yep, you're not going to say it, and that's okay. Brian Brady got it right. And we'll let that one fly today. That one's okay. We'll let that one fly. It's all good. Oh, shoot. I think it already got hit. Oh, well. Brad, there we go. There's a good answer. So you don't always have to have your mind in the gutter.
What's the answer?
Oh, it was anything you want it to be, honestly. Rhymed with bitty. Let's just put it that way. Or doing the gritty. I don't know. Name something a woman does for her baby that she also does for her husband.
Feed them.
Okay. We'll give it the 60 seconds here to let people get their answers. Name something a woman does for her baby that she also does for her husband.
Change his diaper.
Here you go.
Yeah, when you get old enough. Not saying I'm there yet.
All right. Now, this is where it gets a little grimy, and your wife is going to hate me. All of your wives. Here we go. Which one of the 7 dwarfs best describes your wife in bed? Can you even remember all 7 dwarfs? And
No,
you don't,
I don't.
And you don't have to answer if you don't want to.
What was the mad one? The cranky guy.
Oh my God.
Grumpy dwarf.
Grumpy dwarf.
There you go.
Well, I would say for most guys, they're going to say, well, you got Doc, grumpy, happy, bashful. That's a good one. Sneezy, dopey. But I think most men would say sleepy. Oh, I'm just too tired tonight, honey. Right?
Yeah.
I was watching a show the other day. And they're throwing out all these questions, and I'm like, these are good. These are good. These are kind of funny. Kind of lighten up the mood a little bit. I promise you, they won't all be this grimy. Okay, now we're gonna end on a good one. All right, you are watching your neighbor's goldfish while you're on vacation. It dies. What do you do?
Flush it down the toilet.
All right.
Let them know what happened.
Okay. So you're going to take the approach of being honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, not me. I'm running right to the closest fish store, and I'm just going to buy an identical fish, and I'm throwing it right back in the tank. That's my answer. But I'm still flushing the other one.
Tank and let them find it like that.
Yeah, replace it for $3. That's the answer. There you go. That's the answer. Just replace it. Don't say a word. I mean, it's not like they know what their fish, unless there's some mark on it, right? That's how you get caught, right? If there's a little mark on it somewhere that they no longer have. But anyway, yeah, those questions were they're kind of funny. So the game show, I'm still working on graphics among the other 50,000 things that I got going on. But we'll try to hit a few of these up at the end of every show, and we're working on the game show to have people on and doing it so you guys can win some prizes. But anyway, you guys have a great rest of your day. Eric's off tomorrow and the next day, and then Thursday, don't forget, you guys got to send me your question for Daniel Jeremiah. Tonight, I should be back doing the Mock My Monday 1.0. We'll see you guys tonight. Take care. Go and probably go Detroit Lions. Adios.
Pressured by